How did you feel about Nas's Nostradamus album?
Why?
Nostradamus.
Can I not ask the question?
He knows what he's doing.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone knows that's. Hasn't he got a bar where he says something like, you know, the third album pressures are a little bit different or something like that. So yeah, Nostradamus, like, come on, man, we gotta know. We know Kingdom Come is shit. Like, we know.
Why you got?
We know.
You could give it back a
overall.
Why we gotta do that?
I like that.
Like, we know the albums that didn't really like live up to like what we thought they could do. So
Alright, cool.
yeah.
Peter, I'm gonna need you whenever someone says Nas is one of their favorite rappers to ask them the same question. Thank you very much. What's going on, world? This is episode 49 of the Rhymes Like Dimes podcast with your boys Peter,
Yo,
Mohammed,
You.
and myself, Yemi. And today we've got a very special guest, a fellow podcaster. We welcome Eboni from the TBH Podcast.
Hey,
How you doing?
I'm good.
we need like some applause or something just to like. I don't know.
Yeah, you need shouting, bro. Just like,
Applause.
Feel you.
Sound effects. yeah. But yeah, welcome to the podcast. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for inviting me. Happy to be here.
Guys, how we doing?
Yeah, man. Good. Just happy to be here, man.
Feel you. Back in the studio.
Back in the
Oh,
studio.
bro.
Feels great.
Feels
Obviously, we did the
amazing.
Zoom last episode.
Yeah, no. Zoom is an enemy of progress.
it's the devil.
Zoom is the enemy. F
It's
Zoom
the
forever.
devil, bro.
Like, talking over each other in Zoom is not the one at all
Trust me.
because you don't hear anything. But
And it's just awkward. You don't know when to jump in. You don't know when to talk.
it kind of starts conversation, but
Yeah, it's a piece of shit.
for real,
Mm.
especially when Wi-Fi is not so strong as well. So shout out to my Wi-Fi.
Hey, man.
But yeah, Mohammed, how you doing?
Hey, man, I'm alive, chilling. Just same old shit. Because we're doing so many episodes back to back, it's kind of repeating the same thing. Because we done the Zoom.
It's gonna be
one.
like that. We're in lockdown.
Yeah, no,
Do you know what I mean?
no, but also because we done it on the Zoom, then we done. Do you know what I mean? We've recorded
Yeah.
in close proximity, so it sounds repetitive. But yeah, it's like you said, lockdown as well. You've just been chilling, man, working, walking.
You still walk?
Yeah, man, I walked yesterday. In
I'm
the rain.
tired of walking. That's why I'm
Nah,
asking.
it was raining yesterday, bro. Do you know what it is? If I don't do it, I'll go insane. Like, if I don't go out and walk, I'll dead someone. So it's like yesterday it was raining and I walked out for like an hour and a half. I just needed it.
What, did you hear what you just said though?
This guy said it was dead someone.
Yeah, like no, but like for my own sanity, I need to go out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just
fair.
to, and I told
This is open your window, bro.
nah, man, it's just too much. You know what it is? I've been in my yard so long, like nah,
Going
man.
crazy.
No, but walking
Yeah,
is
guys,
good
skits.
though. It's relaxing.
Guys, skits, fam. Just gonna yoke someone up for no reason. Just remember how I was in
Yeah,
school.
keep doing them walks, man.
Hey, man.
We don't want
Just
that.
yoke
How
someone
many,
up.
how many steps did you do?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't.
I
count
walked
your
to
steps.
I went from like Tottenham to Stokey and then back.
How
So
far
that's
is that?
Tottenham to Stoke Newton. So depending on how far you walk, it took me like an hour and a half.
Okay. Oh, that's a good walk.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good walk.
Yeah, it's just before Stamford Hill, so it's a legit bop. You walk past Seven Sisters, all of that, and then I take the long way home. So I just go around the back and everything. So
Feel you.
what about you?
I'm cool, man. I mean, again, I'm more so been at home recently because I can't stand walking anymore. Like trying to go the same routes and shit. Like I love Dulwich Park and that, but if I go there one more time,
Yeah, but you live in South, it's understandable.
you know what I'm saying? It's just a bit long.
It's a bit-
And yeah, I'm just staying at home, just chilling. But yeah, man, I'm cool. As you say, we've been recording a lot back to back, so not much change to be honest. But Ebony, how have you been dealing with lockdown?
I'm good. You know, lockdown. I think it's the same for everyone. It's long, fed up, tired. Watched everything I could watch. Now watching the things I said I wouldn't really watch, or I tried to watch in the past, and yeah, it's a lot.
That's what this lockdown's probably doing.
I'm at that
Watching
point
shows.
now where I don't even want to watch anything new. I'd rather just watch old shit because it's just.
I just watched Sons of Anarchy. That like I've been watching it over the last. I don't know if you like have heard. It's like some biker show
The
or
biker show on
whatever.
Netflix.
And I tried to watch it some time ago because someone told me, "Oh, watch it. Like it's really good." Blah blah blah. And I watched it. And the first episode, like they kill a black guy and they call him like an N-word. All these. I'm like, oh man, no, forget that.
Yeah, that's not a good start. That's not a good start.
Yeah. So I was like, what the hell are you trying to get me to watch? But then recently I was like, you know what? Let me see. And I've watched it. I just completed it this week. And I was like, you know what? It wasn't too bad. It's very tragic though. It's not like there's not much happiness in the show. It's just.
I got through like 2 seasons and gave up.
It's just sad.
It's long, bro. Just like,
It's just
someone
a lot.
clarted every episode. I'm like, you
Basically,
know.
there's no real payoff. Like everyone is just really, really. It's just sad. people are just dying. There's no real reason, no rhyme or reason to it. Like, but you know, I watch those, whatever. So that's where I'm at right now, watching all the stuff that I kind of would have maybe not gone for. But what else am I gonna do?
For real.
Because I rewatched all the stuff that I want to rewatch, like, you know, shows that I like. My favorite shows, I've already rewatched them. I did that last year.
You watch Snowfall?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's back.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I know.
I'm trying to get these.
I'm on season 2.
You're watching. I'm trying to get Yemi to start now as well.
You should watch it. It's
I'm
really
on
good.
season 2. It's
Eventually
good.
I'll get there.
It is good.
It's really good.
Yeah, I've just started I'm watching Breaking Bad now. I'm studying these guys.
Breaking Bad's another one that I tried, but
It
because
is-
I
it's-
love The Wire so much,
This is what
I'm like looking at Breaking Bad like, guys.
It's not better than
Yeah,
The
but
Wire.
you can't-
Honestly,
wait,
don't
wait,
worry.
wait, wait.
Don't go in with
I
a
know,
free
I
heart.
know,
I think The
I
Wire is the
know.
greatest show ever. Go in with a free
okay,
heart.
yeah, so we're here.
This
They're
show,
lying.
season 1 to 3 is
Nah,
pants.
see, you lot are both
It's
making the same
pants.
mistake.
Season
But you know,
1 to
but-
3 is
but-
Mohammed,
but
behave.
also, do you understand
Behave.
like when someone says to me, "Oh, you gotta wait till like season 2."
You've heard it
for
before
to
though, innit?
go- I'm like, I don't want to wait till season 2.
Nah,
See,
but-
everyone's told me season 1 to 3 is bad. I got told the same
Listen,
thing.
You're
Slow-
both
I
speaking
know.
to the people
Slow
that are
burners are all the
not
rage.
like informed enough. That's the
Okay,
issue.
cool.
Do you know what I mean?
Why
And
are you informed more than them?
because
Wait, they're listening
I
to
just
people that aren't
seen it
informed enough.
differently. I've seen it differently, innit? But like, you can't watch it thinking about The Wire though. You need to take
I don't watch
Breaking
it.
Bad
Yeah.
for what it is.
But it's usually
Because when you really get
against
into
The
it,
Wire,
it's
You
like,
really
genius,
shouldn't
though.
compare. You really
But why
don't-
is it
really
against?
should not
Have you seen
compare.
The Sopranos?
I've seen, I think like 3 seasons of Sopranos, which I like, to be honest. And that's the other one that people tell me that's the better one.
That's probably
But I
better.
like-
that might be
but
better than The
but
Wire
I
though.
like, I like the 3 seasons that I watched. I think it's 5 seasons.
It's definitely talking to
I
the
heard
Wire.
it ends really badly, but from what I saw, I enjoyed
Sopranos.
it. Yeah.
I didn't like the ending.
Yeah, a
Let's
lot of
not
people
ruin
don't
it.
like
it.
Let's not ruin the ending. 'cause
I didn't mind
Yeah.
the ending. But I feel you.
I want to catch
But
up
yeah.
on this. I want.
It's definitely talking to The Wire though. Definitely talking.
Have you watched
Breaking
The Wire?
Bad?
Breaking
Sopranos,
Bad is
and The
talking to The
Wire.
Wire
They're in the
too.
same
Have you
conversation.
both watched The Wire fully?
Yeah,
Yeah, me?
bro.
I've
Time
watched-
ago.
but-
A lot
I
of
know you.
times.
Yeah.
Time ago.
But yeah,
They're all
so-
in the same conversation.
I could have
decision.
predicted that Mo wouldn't like Breaking Bad though.
Man, you should have told me
I
beforehand.
could have seen that.
All right. Well, that was a massive detour that I didn't expect.
But yeah, that's lockdown.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, shout out to everyone listening. Shout out to our Spotify listenership. Shout out to our Apple Podcast listenership. Shout out to our SoundCloud listenership. Shout out to our YouTube listenership as well if you're listening there. So yeah, man. Guys, what we listening to this week?
It sounds like a repetitive thing, bruv. I've been listening to. You know what it is actually? On my walks, I've been listening to kind of like a bare like 2000s playlist. I've just been consistent on a 2000s playlist. I don't know why. Whether it's YouTube, whether
On
it's
the
on
Peter
Spotify.
Flex.
Yeah, it's just been consistently been 2000s. And then, funny enough, the fun topic came up from one of the songs in my 2000s playlist. And I was just listening to it. I was like, oh shit, it's a movie song. But yeah, that's what I've been doing. Just been listening to throwback songs this whole week, to be honest with you.
Do you want to name any?
I would have to go through it, but it's been everything 2000s. So like from Get Rich to Jar to Cam to Joel's to fucking.
For some reason, I'm thinking "Let Me Hold You" by Bow Wow.
I mean, if we're gonna be honest, Bow Wow had a couple of hits in the 2000s.
Couple hits, a lot of hits.
Yeah,
in that
he
time.
had a sustained pain, but then he's corny as well.
He's a kid rapper.
Yeah.
Why is he corny though?
Bow Wow, when you lie about a private
because now
jet,
he's trying to
corny.
wrestle.
The type of rapper he is, we shouldn't even be considered. That shouldn't even be a conversation.
Oh no, but he's
No,
just
the
a
whole
corny
plane
guy.
thing. The whole
plane
plane
thing,
is
yeah.
the plane
as
incident.
an adult, as like Shad Moss, then
He
yeah,
done it like
sure.
3 years
But
ago.
like, huh?
He done it like 4
separating
years
Bow
But
Wow
he,
from
does, but he doesn't go. He's not like an active rapper or anything.
Oh,
like that at
okay.
this
in
point
him, in his mind, he is.
No.
I mean, he dropped the song.
Am I the only one here that's listening to the Bow Wow and the Marion album?
Huh?
Oh, the Face Off.
Oh,
thing.
Face Off where they
I've
had
never
was.
listened to it.
What song did they have? Girlfriend?
I'm never gonna lie.
Wait,
I
wait,
never
wait,
listened
Pete,
to
what
it.
song did they have?
Bow Wow
Girlfriend?
and Mario made an album together.
Yeah, Face Off. They had
like,
Girlfriend.
when they were doing like those collabs.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
had
this was
the
back in like
album.
sixth form days. And I
But,
actually
yeah.
enjoyed
Like, it was just
how-
one
I
half of
never
their face
listened
and
to
one half of their
I
face.
actually
innit?
enjoyed.
Yeah.
They tried to do the Jay-Z and R. Kelly thing, innit?
Yeah, nah, man.
We saw how that turned out.
They had
Bow
one
Wow
commercial
had,
song
like,
though.
one point in time where he was maybe gonna transition and be like a formidable rapper, and it was on that Them Franchise Boys, and he had that really good verse, and people started comparing him to Jay-Z, but then nothing happened.
Yeah, well, I've never heard of Bow Wow and Formidable in the same sentence.
I've
ever.
never
Fam.
heard
Yeah,
that
no,
as well.
I-
Formidable.
Or Jay-Z.
That's like Arsenal Invincibles, bro.
Wait, do
Or
you
them
guys-
franchise
wait, do
boys,
you
to be
guys-
fair.
Do you guys not remember that song, Them Franchise Boys remix that Bow Wow was on?
I never listened
And
to
he
them.
had a really it was just a very different verse, and I remember there was a lot of just like,
Was it his pen?
probably not.
Ah,
Probably
cool.
did the brat, but because she used to rap for him
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
So like, it was probably hers, but
Shout
yeah, I
out
don't
to Brett.
know.
Hey man, salute to Shad.
That's my fun fact of today's episode. The fact that Bow Wow and Mario made an album
Yeah.
together.
Check it
that
out.
only Peter
Fun
listened
fact,
to.
that was super.
Check it out,
promoted.
man.
That was like Girlfriend and
Yeah,
a couple
I
of
think
other
they
songs.
came here and
Yeah.
did like a junior jam or something like that. They were like, that was like a time. At least
Yeah.
for me, B2K, all that type of stuff. That was the time for me.
She's smiling from ear to ear, boy.
Man was never here for that wave. Still,
What, B2K?
old power.
I had an older sister.
I was never
They
here for
got
power.
some
Man.
I had an
bangers,
older sister. You couldn't escape B2K in my household for a bit.
Anything that was on like the box or whatever, MTV base. But other than that, no.
You couldn't escape B2K for a little while. They were
B2K
everywhere,
was
bro.
serious.
Feel that though. Peter, what you been listening to?
Not much, man. Been diving into heavily Lenny Kravitz's catalog.
Oh,
Yeah, his Mama Said album is like serious. I'd listened to like a few like Lenny songs over the years, obviously growing up in that, but I never really like dove into his catalog. So I did that like the last like week or so, and he's got some amazing music, man. And I had no idea. So just that really. Bit of Slum Village as well. Fantastic Volume 2. And today I listened to Jay-Z in My Lifetime Volume 1. And yeah, that's been it really. Been a quiet one.
feel you.
You?
Yeah, Lenny Kravitz is definitely goated in a lot of
Yeah.
ways. Me, to be honest, I've not been listening to that much music this week, but yesterday I did listen to a couple new albums. So I listened to a rapper called Central C, his debut mixtape Wild West. He's a rapper from West London. I want to say like Holland Park area. It was cool. I think the sequencing was a bit off. He literally just like turned the volume down on the song and turned the volume back on the next song.
Or the engineer.
The engineer was a little bit wayward, but it was cool. It was a cool album or mixtape, whatever you want to call it. So that was shout out to him. I also listened to Capo Lee, JME, Frisco, and Shorty's album North Face. Now I know I said a couple of episodes ago that Shorty's the worst rapper I've ever heard in the collective,
Wow.
but obviously he was involved in
You're
this
so
album with
disrespectful.
like Frisco, who's formidable in his own right. JME was established in his own right, and Capo Lee, who's kind of like new grime generation, who's actually kind of good. And it was cool. It was like 24 minutes. They each had one solo tune up to like a minute long to themselves, and then the rest were like a posse cuts, and it was cool. Shorty, yeah, my view hasn't changed, but we move. And I also listened to the new Miss La Familia song, the remix to her song Dumbflex, and it's got Ivorian Doe in it, it's got Officer in it, it's got Pounds in it, and a guy called DBO, which is actually good. Like, she barred it down compared to the original where she wasn't rapping at all.
Yeah.
She came correct on the with remix, so shout out to her and shout out to everybody that was involved as well. So yeah, been a UK flex this week, pretty much. Ebony, what about you?
I've just been listening to Gets' album. It's just great. I just love it. I've just been listening to it. And what else? Yeah, just Gets' album really, and maybe just like a few, like I guess like the Drake Scary Hours EP came out, and Jasmine Sullivan.
What do you think of Jasmine Sullivan?
Love it.
Did you like Hotels?
I enjoyed it. Yeah, The Other Side is like my favorite song on there, I think. So I've been listening to that, and yeah, just Gets' album is really all I've been kind of still just listening to back to back. I think it's really great.
Definitely great. Yeah, we had a shout out match about its future status.
Oh,
but
yeah.
we won't get into that.
Future status.
So basically, I called it a future classic, and one of
Okay.
us in this room didn't agree, and it turned into a shout out match stage, which didn't make the pod. But yeah,
Damn.
it was a lot.
Yeah.
We
gets
don't
like-
have that
it gets
many
like that.
classics here. That's not like a bad shout. But anyway.
I mean, I don't make bad shouts, but we'll talk about that.
I ain't even gonna bite.
Yeah, well,
We was close.
Yeah.
he was definitely close. So yeah, Ebony, thank you for coming down. I guess this is the point in the show where when we have a guest, we kind of just want to delve into who they are and how they got into rap music. But first, before we do that, we want to know your top 5 rappers, US and UK.
This was hard and it's an unfair question as far as I'm concerned. But in no particular order, it would be like Kano, Gets, Jay-Z, Nas, and then that 5th spot is honestly could be anyone. It might be Wretch one day, it could be another artist another day, but for today, as I'm thinking, I'll put Wretch there.
Any reason why Kano's at? Is Kano at the top?
Yeah, well, Kano is number 1 for me. Kano is incredible. Like, Kano has the classic albums, like a few of them, and he came out of the gate exactly who he is. So yeah, not messing with Kano. He's lyrically just one like the best. He's just the best.
Listen,
I think he's the
I
best.
feel you, man. I'm a massive Kane fan, so yeah, I'm
And
never
he's like
gonna
an
argue.
artist that really came out of the gate just as exactly who he was. He was an artist from the start. didn't grow into it. Home Sweet Home is a great project put together, concept, narrative, beats, everything. I think it was funny when Stormzy did his diss and he used the mic check, and I was like, shit, obviously you're reintroducing that song to a whole new generation of people. I was like, that's so crazy. And people still reference, oh, it's going off on the roof and all these types of things. Just an incredible guy.
Yeah.
You think Kano gets the praise he deserves?
Nah, we're bad vibes over here. I told you already.
True. You did.
We're bad vibes, and we're still coming. We're still like, now that we are no longer seeking US validation, we are now in this
Allegedly.
thing of, oh, we're putting them with I could talk about UK music with the US people now. Like, that's where the conversation is. So like, once we get past that whole thing of wanting to like say how great our artists are in comparison still to the US lot, then he'll probably, you know. But all the people that I know that love music rate Kano. So
Yeah, Kane's consistently in everyone's top two.
Yeah.
That no music, that no rap, he's consistently in everyone's top two. I like to think.
As he should be.
Yeah, I agree.
he's just been consistent and he's just always delivered. Just always delivered.
What's the reasoning behind your other choices?
He's just so good. He reminds me of but in basketball, so Kevin Durant is like incredibly good, right?
Yeah, Mo's a basketball guy.
But LeBron exists. That's Gets and Kano to me.
So I guess it's KD.
That might be perfect. That might be perfect.
I'm not mad at that.
And then Richard's Michael Jordan. You see the way it all sums up?
No, he's not. Absolutely.
Relax.
That was a massive bite.
Jay-Z
That was a good one, though.
That was a massive bite.
So who's
Sorry.
Kyrie Irving in the UK scene?
I don't.
In the UK?
Yeah.
Chip?
Nah, don't do that. Don't
You
do
know
that.
what?
Don't do that.
That's
Don't
not
do that to
even a-
Kyrie.
that's-
That may not be a bad shout, you know.
Because Kyrie is always off.
He's
on his-
disgruntled somewhere. He's always
Yeah, but Kyrie's no.
And when
But-
he shows up, but you just never know when he's gonna show up. So it's just like,
But he's shown up more than he hasn't not shown up. So that's the only reason I won't say.
since joining the Nets, or generally.
What? Since joining the Nets, he's averaging 31 and 7 or some stupid shit like that.
That's what I'm
There
saying.
you go.
Yeah, he's
MVP material, right?
Yo, he's there.
Well, he got a ring with the Cavs, so does that not count for anything?
No, that's my
Yeah,
point.
of course
He's done
it
more than Chip.
counts,
That's my
but,
point.
you know.
Chip is. I think he's better than what Chip is equivalent.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's something I'm saying.
so you know.
But that's a great shout. The earlier football equivalent comparison to KD and LeBron. I get. That's
and then Jay-Z and Nas are just like some of the earlier artists that I remember like seeing and listening to when I was like growing up and stuff like that. And just over time, I just resonate and like appreciate their music a lot. So part of my hip hop discovery is like through them. So that's why they're there, and they're just great.
How did you feel about Nas's Nostradamus album?
What would you,
Oh my
why?
Nostradamus.
Can I not ask the question?
He knows what he's doing.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, nah. I mean, I think everyone knows that's. Hasn't he got a bar where he says something like, you know, the third album pressures are a little bit different or something like that. So yeah, Nostradamus, like, come on, man, we gotta know. We know Kingdom Come is shit. Like, we know.
Why you got?
We know.
You could give it back a
overall.
Why we gotta do that?
I like that.
Like, we know the albums that didn't really like live up to like what we thought they could do. So
Alright, cool.
yeah.
Peter, I'm gonna need you whenever someone says Nas is one of their favorite rappers to ask them the same question. Thank you very much. I like that Kingdom Come though. Arguably that was worse than Nostradamus.
Hell no.
Arguably.
Oh,
Absolutely
definitely.
not.
It's got that
Arguably.
tune on there with Usher where we
Arguably.
don't know what he's
Oh,
trying to
man,
make
that shit was
strip club
horrible.
album.
Kingdom Come was nasty.
That shit was horrid.
Yo, Pete, Kingdom Come
Yo.
was nasty.
I'm
got
not
the
saying it
Hollywood-
wasn't. But
Hollywood
Nostradamus
tune.
was
Nah,
horrible,
Kingdom
man.
Come was hell, bro.
That was
Hollywood.
hell on earth, bruv. Shout out to Mobb Deep.
And they gave us best of both worlds as well. Yo, Jay-Z's been
man.
flagrant, bro.
See?
We're not
Jay-Z
doing
is
this.
Best
See?
of Both was terrible.
We're not
Yo,
doing
best
this.
of both
I need the
worlds.
collision course with Linkin Park.
Oh,
Mm.
bruv. And that
doing
was a
this.
collision course.
Mm. That was definitely a collision
That
Did
was
you
course.
man
collision
enjoy
course.
Nas's album with him, Damian Marley?
Yeah,
Yes.
What?
That's one of the best collaborators.
Stop
tapes.
it. Kano Somali's featured
Swing
on
and a
2 of them
miss.
songs. What? Kano my people's featured on 2 of them songs, fam. I'm representing.
Yeah.
That's your guy, fam.
Mad.
Shout out to him, man. But yeah, nah. Jay-Z's made arguably worse albums.
Yeah.
He thought he had one in it with
He thought he had it.
He thought he had one. He goes, what's that song? What's that album with Damian Marley?
Nah,
Streets Disciple?
that's still better than collision course. See?
Probably is, actually. I can't
There you
even
go.
argue that.
You're slipping, you're
Probably
falling, you
Can't
can't
get
get up.
up.
Trust me.
Listen, Streets of Sub wasn't that bad, man. I don't think anyway. And it's not my stand talking. I genuinely feel like it wasn't that bad.
It was alright.
It was alright. It was alright. For a double album, and double albums always suffer that.
Yeah,
If you just
double
trimmed it down,
albums are tricky,
then it would have been great.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
you
for
didn't. See, it's not.
Yeah.
So that's what that is. Meanwhile, JC, you know what I'm saying?
I feel you.
It is what it is, though. And some people think that Magna Carta was shit as well. So
No, I'm one of those people.
you're one of those.
I liked,
people,
yeah, I
see?
liked a few songs off it.
Magna
but
Carta was
What
terrible.
shit?
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah, it wasn't a good
Terrible.
album.
Yeah, it was bad.
I'm not doing
You
that.
think it was terrible, Pete?
It wasn't a good album, man.
Picasso, baby.
Yeah, okay,
Fuck
that's,
with me,
that's
you
a song.
Like,
Fuck with me, you know I got it.
Heaven.
Those
I liked
songs are
Oceans.
cool.
I liked Heaven.
Oceans.
Fuck with me, you know I got it.
Nickels.
Nickels and dimes.
Tom
I
Ford.
didn't like
Nickels
Nichols and I didn't like
I
Tom
don't care about
Ford.
I used to
Why do
fuck with
people
Tom
bring
Ford.
up Tom Ford like it's really like a banger?
It's
like
not a
that?
banger, but it. How can I put it? If it's the fifth
That's
worst
the beat.
track in
It's
your
the beat,
album,
innit? It's the beat.
if it's the fifth worst track in your album,
It's the beat.
it's not a bad option time. Do you get what I mean?
It's
I
the
like
beat.
Part 2 on the Run. That's a great
Nah,
song.
that shit.
I fucked it.
It's
I
a-
fucked it.
Yeah, I like that song.
I'm an outlaw. I'm an outlaw. What? Stop here.
That was
here.
trash. That was
What?
Yo,
Beyonce
guys, how did
floated.
we get into like
Beyonce-
Sandem and Jay's
I don't
catalog? I
know,
don't like
but-
this.
Hey, we can see where the podcast is going today.
Oh
innit?
my God.
We can see where the podcast
I
is
don't
going.
like this.
I'm here for it.
I'm here for it as well. Yeah, man. Shout out to Magna Carta. How did you discover rap music, Ebony?
How did I discover it? On MTV. like on MTV base or in my house. Like my mum had the Fugees album that she used to play, and my aunts and uncle like used to play. Like my uncle's a big Biggie fan, so Warning used to play all the time. So I know that like word for word, but it just, and he'd rap it word for word, all these types. So the music was played around me as I was like growing up and stuff. And I watched a lot of music channels. My mum was a massive Michael Jackson fan, so we used to have all the videography, like VHS videos in our house. And you know, she's one of the ones that's running in the street to see Michael in his concert. So music in my family, as far as like popular music and stuff like that, it was played a lot. So yeah, watching MTV and seeing like videos. I think Tupac's Letter to My Unborn Child is like one of my earliest video memories of seeing that and thinking, what is that? That sounds incredible. Like, what is that? And the rest of it. And yeah, so like this music, Missy Elliott, Busta Rhymes, these are the things that I came up like around. And then like I said, my mum used to have so many CDs of just lots of different like artists and stuff like that.
Would you say she was a hip hop head?
Nah, not necessarily. My aunt and uncle more so. I probably saw more like rap music around them than my mum. My mum was more like, she likes like the Fugees, she like Usher, like Mariah Carey is goated, Whitney Houston goated. Like she was more that lane, but it all kind of, but because she was still just so open to all that music, we saw everything else as well. And then when I go over to my grandma's house, that's where I see all the rest of it. So yeah, that's how I got into rap and just enjoying that music. And then when I got a little bit older, then 50 Cent came out. And then that was like an artist that I picked for myself that wasn't like an inherited like from my like family. I was like, oh my God, what is this? And then Kanye and then Dizzy and just grime was then happening and all these types of things. So yeah.
I hear that. Yeah, man. That first artist that you actually find yourself is actually really, really important when you like start to deepen and as you get older. And you
Yeah,
realise
because
that
you
that's
like you know, you hear Jay-Z and Nas in the house and stuff. You like this music, but when you actually discover an artist, think this is this guy.
Can you think back to your
Kanye,
two?
this guy.
Can you go back to your one?
I think 50 was one of my first. 50 and Fab. Actually,
Oh,
no,
yeah,
I inherited
Fab.
Fab. I inherited Fab. 50.
Yeah, my uncle hated Fab. He used to tell me he's a throwaway mace, man. Why'd you like this? Like,
See?
this Street Dreams album is great. What are you talking
That
about?
was one of
That's
the
what
first CDs I bought as well, Street Dreams.
it was all bootleg. I used to go to 9 Elms Market or whatever. Get mad. Like all my CDs, like I remember I had a B2K pan. All my CDs were basically just like bootlegs from like the market. I ripped them from like LimeWire on like Windows Media Player.
Frostwire
Like,
too, big up Frostwire.
Yeah, all of that. So.
LimeWire was the one.
Trust.
LimeWire, BearShare. I remember I had Napster on my computer, but I didn't know how it worked. It didn't. I was just like, this doesn't work. Get me the thing that works. So
Yeah.
you're waiting 100 hours, and then that's how learn about viruses because got.
Oh, same.
that must have been
Ooh,
mad.
Trojan horses all of the
What?
car.
Man, that must have been
I'm
pain.
telling
My
you.
mum was vexed. Like, what is going on? I was like, I don't know. Like, but
LimeWire used to get you hard.
Yeah.
Oh my
Hard.
God.
And that's how Soulja Boy got me once. I remember I downloaded a song. I forgot what song it was. It could have been Jar 50 or someone. And then I remember I downloaded it, I played it, and all I hear is you.
Yeah.
Oh, what is this defamation of character, fam? I was like, yo, this guy, no, he full on set me up.
Soldier Boy is
so-
hard.
Yo,
He's hard for
Soulja
that.
Boy
Oh my
set me
God.
He's
up.
hard for that.
I remember it could have been anything. It could have been Caught Up Ja Rule for all I know. It could have been anything.
But
So I'm
LimeWire
down-
had them things you download music that wasn't even the tunes. They
Yeah,
always
yeah.
had the Ashanti B2K tune on there that wasn't a real song, and then the Bill Clinton I did not have sexual relations
Yeah.
with that woman. Like, those were things that would just pop. You'd be thinking, what the hell is going on here? Like, this is all crazy.
No, they used to catch you, and you had to download the image of the album. It was all arts
What,
and
that
crafts.
era of downloading music was
What when you have to download the album cover and then move the
Yeah.
album cover to the album,
Stop.
and then download it on the iPhone?
And
It
then
was
sometimes like the tags on the songs had like all the underscores and shit.
Yeah.
So you have to take
my
that out,
God.
yeah.
yeah, you have to edit
yeah.
and do the
That-
features right. Whoever's on that song, you have to get the feature
100%.
right.
That was
Cool.
so
How
serious.
fun.
Oh my God, that was so serious.
What? When you used to download the album, you used to just say track 1 to 12, so you got to
You
re-edit
got, like,
everything.
yeah.
Good times.
Good times, you know.
Yeah.
Good times. That's why we appreciate music.
The internet was so different then. Like, I remember trying to look for lyrics to like songs. I remember hearing Pretty Ricky on Choice FM in the car. So it was like the Cat and Richard Blackwood and this presenter Cat, which I don't know where he is now. They used to do an afternoon show on a Saturday. Pretty Ricky had a tune. I didn't know it was Pretty Ricky at the time, but you could just type in. You know, like now, song titles are nowhere found in the song. Like, a song could be called, I don't know. It could be called anything, right? And the artist will never say that word in the song. So you're trying to find it online, like, oh, what was that song?
Yeah,
You can't
yeah,
type
yeah,
in.
yeah,
That was the
You
actual words.
Yeah, so but
You have
back
to remember the
then-
words.
Yeah, but back then, like, obviously, Grind on Me. I just type in, what's that song? Grind on Me, like, it just, and it will come up in the search because it's actually in the song. So I remember just stuff like that. Like, that's just kind of how I was with like music. Like, growing up, it was my thing. Like, I was into it, and yeah, just looking for lyrics for stuff. Like, I remember Eminem had, what is it? Singing in My Closet. Something like
Cleaning
that.
My Closet,
Cleaning
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 Out
My
My
Closet.
Closet or something like
Yeah.
that. What wanted the lyrics to all of those type of shit? Like, because my cousin was a massive Eminem fan. Like, that was her, like, that was her guy in the same way that I loved like Tupac and Jay-Z and these guys. Like, Eminem was the guy that she just like, he's just the sickest guy to her. So I was into Eminem and stuff at that time, for the time, you know.
No, we were all fans of Eminem at one point.
Yeah, no, that's
Why
There
you
was a
saying
time.
like
There
that
was, there was a
it
ti-
made sense.
I'm not
at
saying
the
it
time.
anyway. I'm just saying at a point, like 99, 2000, 2001, we were all M fans.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I used to hate that.
I'm looking at you, people.
I
Why are you
hated
looking at me for?
Because you're laughing. That's
I hated
why.
that Slim Shady video though with the spit in the burger and
That was
stuff like
nasty.
that.
Yeah,
Oh
that was
my
wild.
God.
That
That
was
was
wild.
nasty.
That's never not going to be wild.
Yeah, like that type of stuff. But it was good times.
No, we were definitely M fans. I'm not gonna act like we weren't. But why? I don't like the way you're saying it at me. Like I'm the hater.
You are.
You are.
I'm not. I'm just the truth teller.
The
That's all.
Eminem one.
Okay.
When it comes to Slim Shady, I'm the truth teller. That's all. But
Slim Shady.
lyrically, come on, we
You don't
know
deserve
what
to
it
call him
is.
some shady, to be honest. But yeah, Ebony, how did all that discovery and all that, studying of lyrics and studying of music lead to you then doing a podcast?
I mean, music's like one of my like loves. So it's like one of my passions. So I'd be into it, talking with my friends, regardless. I used to make CDs for my friends in school and stuff like that. And of course, just through having discussions with people, mainly guys, because like my friends, like my female friends who like enjoyed music, it was more on the, of course, B2K. It's the R&B flex, not necessarily like rap like in that way. So yeah, just the love of having conversations. And I was like, I was into it. Like, you go through all these weird, like, it's so funny to me now, like, being older and thinking about how I was so into, like, a Rascast or whatever when I was, like, younger. And, like, going through these, like, really, like, super, like, niche Mortal Technique phase.
Yeah, that
Oh,
was me,
this
yeah,
is, like,
I did that
amazing.
too.
Like, your little, like, I remember my friend introduced me to Little Brother. I never, like, heard of them before or whatever. And he, like, told me about them. And I checked them out. I was like,
Yeah.
I remember,
Yeah, Peter swears by them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like all those types of things, and just wanting to like talk, especially because I'm like, of course, because I'm a woman too. So there wasn't many women who talk about rap who I always felt necessarily like were into it proper, like, and knew, or not like they wasn't knowledgeable, but it stops at a certain point. And I just felt like, yeah, I can hang with the guys with this. And I could talk, and I appreciate it, and I think it was necessary. So I do a podcast, and we talk about music, and we talk about everything. And because I'm not restricted to just listening to like just the super rappity rap,
Yeah.
it's fun. I've got a broad scope of it.
100%. I definitely feel like there was maybe a time where there weren't as many like women that were very vocal about just how much they studied hip hop, especially like in this country as well.
Definitely. My cousin was probably the only person that I knew that was really like, she loved Eminem so much that she wanted to rap and stuff. I was never interested in like rapping or any of that. Like, it wasn't like, I was like into sports. That was like the music thing, as far as, because, you know, like you find now that so many people in positions within the music industry wanted to be rappers and stuff like that. But that wasn't like my thing. That wasn't for me. I just enjoyed the music. I was like, I watched all till this day, interviews are my thing. I watch so many interviews of artists all the time, documentaries, all of that type of stuff. I'm just so interested in just, artistry, people, what makes the music, how they get there, production, engineering, sequencing, all the other stuff that goes around it, and narrative and stuff. I really look at artists and look at the whole thing, not just like the music, like, okay, who's that supposed to be as a person, where do they come from, all the rest of it. So it just makes sense that I just talk about it.
Outside of the podcast, are you like active like in the music world?
Yeah, so I used to write. So I started out writing after going to like a wireless festival. My friend gave me like the idea to start writing. So I started writing like a blog, and then I wrote for like some blogs like Grime Daily and stuff, and then I worked at a blog as an editor-in-chief that's no longer in play anymore, called Part of My Blog. Then they rebranded. I did a lot of work there, and it was a great time, like just, you know, writing, putting articles out, managing a team, doing events, all that type of stuff. And then working with artists and stuff, like new artists, and giving advice, and just, you know, figuring it out, you know, learning that, like when I first wrote at like Grime Daily, I never knew you could interview somebody. Then they had an opportunity to interview like Big Sean's DJ, and they were like, do you want to? I was like, you can how do you interview? What do I do? I was like, I have to go buy a tape recorder. And then I remember the guy was like, do you have a phone, right? He goes, yeah. He's like, you can just record it on your phone. I was like, okay. I'm looking at the Argos catalogue thinking, do I need to buy like a recorder? Like, how does this go and stuff like that? And then it's just been a journey of like discovering all the things that you can do. So like the natural progression has been like where I am now, where I'm doing a podcast. So it's like, it started with just wanting to comment, like to like do reviews like on albums, and then it was like, I can interview artists, I can sit down and like talk to them and pick their brain about certain things. This is sick, I want to do this too. And then just generally, okay, how do we like start to curate content? Then now I'm like obviously doing podcasts and stuff like that. So just to me a natural progression.
Do you still write?
Not currently. The last year has been like mad, of course. So not last year, but the year before, I was still doing interviews and stuff like Nux, Be Young, etc., those type of. But in the last year, I haven't actively written, but I'm definitely gonna get back into it at some point. I just need to figure out, like, I just need to get past this, honestly.
Yeah, for real.
But yeah, at some point, definitely we'll get back into it.
Was there any interview that you did where, like, either you were starstruck or like Brandy?
Yeah.
Oh, you interviewed Brandy?
That was because I watched Brandy. Like, Brandy's one of my favorite artists ever. Watched my Moesha. I wanted the braids like Brandy. Like, that was like everything to me. I couldn't even believe it. I was working at the time, and they were like, we've got like there's like a press thing for like Brandy like the next day, and I was working on that Saturday, and I was locked in. I was like, damn, I'm working tomorrow. Can't call in sick, because you know, like with, especially like in retail, they catch you with this whole you can't call in sick. It's not true. Like, or at least I was like sucked in, feeling like, I can't do that because I'm working tomorrow. And I remember I got the call and I said, like I'm working tomorrow. And then I came off the call and I was speaking to my friend. I was like, I could interview Brandy tomorrow, but I've got work. And they were like, what? I was like, I was like, work? Are you kidding? Do you want to work or do you want to interview Brandy? And what do you want to do? Do you want to be at work, or do you want to actually pursue like your career and do like an interview Brandy? And you want to interview Brandy? So big mistake. Sorry about that. I can do that tomorrow. And I met Brandy, and she was really sweet. It was really good.
Whatever Brandy was this?
This was 211.
Okay, fine.
So she came here. I think she was doing like a musicalized show. She was doing like a headline for Musicalize, and it was the 211. So it was and it was after that she had that incident where she had performed in South Africa in front of like a stadium that was completely like empty and stuff like that. But it was good. And she was like, you know, they say don't meet like your idols or meet people that you like really admire and stuff, but that went really well. And that was like the first time my mom actually understood. Like, she didn't really know what I was doing. And I should go, I'm like, I'm going to interview Brandy today. She goes, what? I was like, yeah. And that was the first time she was really like, oh shit. And I came back, I had the pictures, and she goes, oh, okay. Like, and she kind of still not necessarily knowing, but thinking, oh, how did you're with someone that was on TV and music videos and all these types of things, you know? So, yeah, that was probably the only one that I really felt like, ooh, everyone else, normal.
Yeah, did that ever happen to you?
Well, starstruck?
Yeah.
Not really, you know.
Yeah.
Never really starstruck.
Not even with Dizzy.
I suppose. I mean, I did stutter sometimes, if that's what starstruck means. But other than that, it was actually alright. I think the fact that he was so direct helped me.
Okay.
So because he was so direct, it kind of like allowed me to like engineer my questions and shit, and just keep focus and shit. But it was Yo Gotti was cool. Like that's when I realized that okay, like you're actually of a level. Like Jay, Wayne, all these people. So.
Yeah, that's mad too when you interview someone and you're like, oh, you're part of the history.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what made me.
You're like, oh, you're part of the history. Like, this is your 6 degrees of separation, right?
What was your worst interview?
Ooh, worst interview. I'm not sure actually. Maybe I'm trying to think. I don't know. Big H was really bad. Like, do you remember him?
Yeah. We remember.
Yeah, but
I think someone mentioned him on the last.
I did.
I interviewed Big H one time, and that wasn't great. Yeah, that wasn't great. But
was he just reluctant to answer questions?
Yeah, like sometimes they just don't want to answer things, and that's cool. Like I get it. Like some artists just don't want to. They don't want to have to do the interview press thing and stuff like that. I get it. But then just tell your management not to do a press day.
It's literally as simple as that.
I mean?
It's literally as simple as that.
Just don't do a press day if you really don't have anything. If you don't want to say anything, that's fine. Other than just it being, and it was like also one of those things where I was just in emotion. Like I was doing a lot of interviews and doing a lot of and just going to like press days and stuff like that. It wasn't everybody that I necessarily. I just wanted the experience of learning how to speak to people and stuff like that. But yeah, that one wasn't too great. That I remember off head. And I don't really like telephone interviews that much either because they're always a bit awkward.
Yeah, they're not great.
Yeah, like I hate when they're like, oh, it's going to be a telephone interview. I'm like, I don't know. But one interview I will say, even though it's not what you asked me, that I can't, like, I wish I could have interviewed Nipsey Hussle. I had two opportunities to do it. One, it was a Skype thing, which it never happened because, I don't know, they just couldn't get him on the thing. And then when he was in London doing a show, there was a press day like organised, but then it got cancelled.
What year was this roughly?
This was early, maybe it's like 2014. Okay. Maybe he was here to do a show. So and because
probably was around the marathon.
And Nipsey Hussle. No, this was pre Crenshaw. I think.
Oh, pre Crenshaw.
Pretty sure he was here early.
So Bullets ain't got no name.
Like a lot of these lot were here like early, like.
Bullets ain't got no name.
Kendrick and Vince Staples and all these lot were doing shows here, like.
It was like 3 volumes though.
Yeah, the third one come out like 2012.
Kendrick had his first show here in 2012.
Yeah, like a lot of these lot were here like quite early, just doing one-off shows. I remember seeing Vince Staples in Cargo ages ago, and Koji opened for him, and I don't know, like.
Yeah, J. Cole opened for Tiny Temper once. It's all.
Yeah.
I think it was Soho anyway, I'm not sure where it was, but he opened for Tiny Temper back in the day.
I remember Drake was here in like 2000 and my first Wireless Festival was the Jay-Z one, and like I think the one just before that Drake might have been at it or whatever the case was, like. But anyway, yeah, that was the interview that I'm like, damn, because Nipsey's one of my favourites, so that was a sad thing for me, but yeah.
My worst interview was Rich the Kid.
That sounds, I could get that. That I could absolutely, there's some artists that you can just tell that is.
What happened though?
He was going for a drive-through, or he was on his way. When we started the interview, he was on his way to a drive-through, and it was kind of alright. He was given 1, 2, 3 word answers, and then we got to the drive-through, and he completely just like went off the phone to the point where his manager was like, "Yo, you're doing an interview. You need to get back on the line," and he just sounded like he wasn't bothered. So that was easy the worst. Cultural Funds was right next to him as well. Cultural Funds was shit. He was high as well, so it was like
really. Oh no,
it weren't great.
I went to a KJ Funds show. Like he did it at Brixton, Electric Brixton, and I didn't know what his show was gonna be like, and I was really surprised at like how good it was and how responsive the crowd was. Like they were singing every song, like he'd do a little acapella before going into the actual tune, and everybody was just so into it, and he had a decent production like behind him in terms of like the screens and stuff like that, and I was like, it was really good.
He's definitely got bops. I don't really know what he's up to now, but he definitely had bops at the time. But
Yeah.
I think this was around like 2017. I interviewed him, and
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he just wasn't on it that day, but hey, we move.
Yeah, sometimes they just don't have anything to say too. I find that too. You'll be trying to dig for like so what was the concept behind that? And they're like, yeah, like, and just.
Some of these men don't have personality, you know?
Yeah, like, they're just like, they don't really you think it's deep, but they actually, it wasn't deep.
They might be artists, but that don't mean they're like, you know
That's
what I'm
why
saying?
Good
you know,
social
like, sometimes
skills.
that's why I'm like, when I hear like, when people are like, oh, you can't review an album like after one listen, but then I hear, when I see artists talking about, oh, I made that song in 15 minutes. So because you made the song in 15, so if I can't review an album after like 1 or 2 listens, they made it in 15 minutes. It wasn't that deep for them either. Even if I thought the song was incredible, I just never get it. Like, people, like, you know, whatever, you can sit with some albums, you don't need to sit with for that long. You can just tell off bat that they're just not like that. But yeah, anyway, that's off topic.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I feel the same way. Like, I'm having to do a lot of reviews, and more time I'm listening enough. I'm only doing one listen. Yeah. And if I really like it, I'll do a couple more. Yeah. Sometimes, depending on the artist, that's all you need. All you need is one listen. And I was saying on the last episode, it just really just depends on how much you take in on the first listen as well.
And at this point, I trust my ear. It's a seasoned ear. I can hear it. I can hear if it's good or not. For me, anyway. Like, I'm not like a new listener or anything like that.
I think I tried to like take my time with taking in albums, just because we live in such a microwavable era now, where like, you know, everything's so instant and quick. So I kind of want to like take my time and sit with an album for a few listens before.
But you don't do that for every artist though.
I think it depends on who it is, of course. Yeah.
So that's the only thing. It's just like, sometimes I hear those, like, Future will put something out, and then I'll see a headline that says Future said I made that tune in 10 minutes, and it's whoever, and it's like, why are you not getting upset with people because they're giving their review after like one listen? It didn't take them that long. They're telling, oh, we made that song, we did 5 of those songs in an hour. Like, you know, they didn't care either.
It's all noise, man.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit more about the TBH podcast.
Yeah, it's a hip hop or music and culture podcast. We talk about rap, R&B. We talk about things that are just going on, like TV shows. You know, recently we were talking about One Division, all these types of things like that. And I do it with my co-host Daniel. We started at the end of 2019, so really it's like 1 year, because it was literally like December where we did a pilot. So yeah, we've been doing it for just over a year, and it's been going well. Like, it's good. It's like, it's just the two of us, and obviously it's, you know, male, female, and he's like more of an R&B guy, I'm more of like a rap chick, but we still listen to a lot of the same stuff, and it's just like a really good, at least for me, I think it's a fresh kind of take on for podcasts, which are normally just male or female.
100%.
And especially in music, because we have all the lifestyle ones where people are talking about relationships and all these types of things, but for music I don't see many that are just like mixed gender, and the two people know and they're talking about it from a knowledgeable standpoint as well, and appreciation. So yeah,
fair enough. I remember the shout out to Breaking Atoms. I remember the massive link up that we had on the episode.
God. That's the first. I wrote for Hip Hop Chronicle. That's the first place that I wrote for.
Dope.
Yeah, that's how I met Summit, and that spearheaded everything for me, because before then I just was writing. I had like a WordPress page that I just used to. I told myself for one summer, I was like, if I can write about music just because I want to write about music, I'll try and pursue this. And at the end of the summer, I was like, yeah, I've just been writing about, I think Nostalgia Ultra was out. There's loads of different albums out, and I was writing about it, and I was like, so now how do you write about music properly? Yeah. And the Hip Hop Chronicle was the first blog that I came across that seemed to be like, I don't want to say it was UK based, but like I just kind of recognized that this seems like it's from here, and I just sent an email saying, oh, I want to write, and yeah, that was the first place, and he gave me a lot of advice. And even though it ended quite quickly, I was then able to, like, you know, with some of these things in the creative industry, it's hard to think about, how do you get into this? How do you start writing? How do you interview? Or if you want to work in PR and all these things, they're not like traditional career paths that everyone knows how to.
You got to kind of figure out your mistake.
Exactly. Like, how do you become a music writer? I didn't go to uni I didn't do anything music related.
So you had to figure this out literally all by yourself?
Yeah, like I did a creative writing course, but you know, I didn't go to be a journalist. I just enjoyed music, so I had to figure out like, oh, how do you get into this? Like, just like if someone wanted to be a radio DJ and they never had, how do you get, like, make a demo and all these types of things? And yeah.
It is just a lot of knocking on the door because I'm the same as you. I did history at uni. I did sports writing after I left for like a year or so, and then I moved to music. And it was literally just like banging on the doors, like, yo, can I write for you here? Can I write for you here?
Yeah, you're sending emails or like trying to figure out like, oh, how can I, get there? And then you don't even know, because I feel like at that time as well, there wasn't really like necessarily a standard for like what the writing was supposed to be. Everyone just wanted a conversational blog style. What do you think? Tell us your most ruthless opinion and all these types of things. So yeah, it was a journey. And like I said, because I didn't know, that's why I never knew you could just do interview. And I thought maybe you had to do something special to present or sit down in front of artists, but that wasn't the case. So yeah, opened me up to a lot of stuff.
It's getting a lot easier these days as well.
Yeah, I think so. It seems so. It's good though.
Oh,
and back then everything was free. No one was paying you for nothing.
And you're doing a lot of work as well.
No one was paying
money.
you for anything.
Especially in the beginning.
Yeah, it was all experience and passion. And to be honest, I didn't even know anything about money when I started, like, in that space, to be real with you. It wasn't really something I thought about.
But yeah, shout out to Daniel, man. I still remember us all being on that massive link up with like Create It Away and Beach Rhymes and Life.
I missed that one.
Him saying that J. Cole had hits plural. I remember him saying that.
Oh, is that the one when Peter kind of
poked
him?
He kind of poked it. He kind of lied.
Peter antagonized him.
Some lies. He said he was a fan of J. Cole.
Me
and
antagonized?
That's what led to him saying he had hits. And I remember Eboni being like, yo, where's hits?
It's true though.
And what hits got pulled out?
None. None were named.
I think he said Forest Hill Drives as an album was a hit.
Nah.
Hello, did it hit?
But he loves J. Cole though, that's why. Like J. Cole's like his guy.
I'm with J. Cole.
And J. Cole's like I enjoy J. Cole, but also as I've grown with him, certain things I noticed in the music that I don't love, and then I just feel like he hasn't got to whatever he's trying to do.
See, but
he hasn't done it yet.
That's what you call growth. That's what Peter don't like.
Yeah.
Because Peter still wants me to be the same J. Cole fan I was a decade ago.
I'm not, because I'm not the same person.
This is my
Talk
point.
about him,
I'm not the same
Basically,
person.
let me tell you why. So Peter went on a whole soliloquy about how I don't keep the same energy with J. Cole. Yeah. That's his thing. I've seen J. Cole live numerous times. I'm a J. Cole groupie.
I've seen him every time he's come here.
Yeah, same. So, however,
this is great.
I can grow up. Bear in mind, I'm 28, so I was 17 when I first locked in with Cole. If the way he progresses his music is the way my attitude is going to progress with him. According to Peter, no matter what music this brother brings us, Muhammad is still meant to wear his number 1 jersey. Like, I'm not a grown man that pays bills. What did you say?
All I said was, all I was trying to point out was that your energy towards Cole has changed.
And
that's all I said.
And I told you because the music has changed. And you didn't accept the answer.
You said a little bit more than that, Pete, but I thought you.
You see what I'm saying? No, I've had enough of this guy, bro. You see what
you were talking about that. You were talking about the old Mo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And all that shit.
No, but you was just like, you have to keep that same energy regardless, right?
They say they want the old Mo.
I will not do this.
But
anyway,
you finish the rest.
The thing is you grow. Sometimes you grow out of the artist. That I remember when I grew out of Alicia Keys, and I was really disappointed because I think she just got married. She put out The Element of Freedom, and there was a bunch of adult content that I couldn't relate to. This all-encompassing love. I'm young. I'm not. I don't care. What are you talking about? Like, literally, Element of Freedom. And that was the first time I really recognized that. Oh yeah, no, you're gone. I can't. Yeah. This is not. I care nothing for all. I don't care anything for this. Anything that you're speaking about, this is not for me. And I just really haven't listened to Alicia Keys again.
And that's fine. Really. It's all right to grow out of an artist, but I don't feel like Mo's growing out of J. Cole.
You're on drugs.
It doesn't feel like Mo's growing out of J. Cole. Has he ever proclaimed to grow out of J. Cole?
Yeah, do you hear me talk about
it? No, but
exactly.
I would expect him to.
Okay, cool.
No, but he's saying I'm meant to.
So then why would I not feel like he's going to keep the same energy if I still feel like, yo, you're a big fan of Cole?
I am a big fan of Cole, but I don't have a leg to stand on right now. He gave me 2 average to trash albums.
Yeah, but that's no different than the other times, though. You were still sticking up for him.
No, because I liked Born Sinner. No,
but you can there is a difference. And then they drop some bad stuff, and you're not so into them anymore.
Yeah, because when did I used to speak about Cole? Because Cole gave me FHD and Born Sinner, and I fucked with them 2 back to back. Then he gave me For Your Eyes Only.
Does no one like the Sideline Story? Sorry. No one likes the Sideline Story.
Cole likes Sideline Story?
That's so funny, man.
No.
I just think it's too.
No, I get why people don't like it.
Give me Sideline Story and God's Gift. Keep him and Can't Get Enough. Give me that.
I like that breakdown tune that he has on there because that was like a narrative that everyone was going crazy over Lost Ones, and it's like, That was good, yes, whatever, but yeah.
No, but that's my point though. So the first one,
Who Dat as
I didn't
well?
mind
Who
it.
Dat?
I hated
Come
Who
on,
Dat. I
man,
hated
get out.
Who
Give
Dat.
me Who Dat.
Oh,
I
get
hated
out
Who
of
Dat.
here, man.
I'd rather take Nobody's Perfect than Who Dat.
Nah,
Can't
Yeah,
even
Nobody's
lie.
Perfect is really
That was a
good
banger.
as a tune. That's
That was
a
a
good
banger.
tune.
But like, yeah. So if it's the last two sloppy, why am I gonna still be the same? Like, doesn't make sense.
Because my argument is that like this guy has not been making amazing albums from the jump.
I've
And
never
yet
said
you've-
he.
and yet
I've
you've
never once
still-
told you he's made a music.
But
He
you,
has-
yeah, but
Now
you've
you're
still
lying
been
on my-
caping for him though. The point I'm trying to make is you've still been caping for him. So if you're
Yeah, but when someone brings
So
you
to me-
kryptonite and he don't have the superpower no
Yeah, but
more,
to
what
me-
am I gonna defend him for?
But to me, if he's been making whack music from the jump,
That's what
and
we
you've
dis-
been,
that's
let me
opinions
finish,
though.
bro. You can't listen and talk at the same time.
I can sometimes.
But in this case, you can't. But if I feel like he's been making whack music from the jump and
Yeah.
you've been caping from the whole time,
Yeah.
of course I'm gonna be like, yo, your energy is different if you're not still caping for him when he's made whack music all along.
Yeah,
for
but
me.
that's opinions though, because I don't think FHD was whack.
Yeah, but I don't know when your attitude towards him has changed.
For your eyes only.
Yeah, but Pete, you can also cape for someone, and then if they're not meeting your expectations, not cape for them.
That's fine. But in this case, in Mohammed's
No, he's
case,
just not having it. It's
I didn't
all-
know if that was the case.
He hasn't.
It's just personal.
You didn't see the change.
So you needed
I
him to
personally
say,
see the
you
change.
needed,
No,
you
that's
needed
all.
him to say he's changed his mind on J. Cole.
Yeah, of course. I'd
For-
love to have that conversation.
It's personal. I understand what it is.
If I told you, man, all of a sudden, yo, I don't like Black Thought anymore.
See,
you-
I-
it would be a
You would say
conversation.
that though. You would
Huh?
say that. But you would actually announce that.
Yeah, but
And
this is
that
the
would- That
problem.
would be a
though.
whole thing. That would be an episode's worth.
But this
basically.
is the problem though. I've never. We're getting out of hand here. I just realised.
We're digressing,
Yeah,
of
yeah,
course.
yeah,
It's cool, it's
yeah,
cool.
yeah. I've never once put Cole in my top 5. That's out the rip. You can go back to the first episode I've ever talked about. So when I stood by Cole, it was just me saying, "Yo, this new generation, he's second to me after Kendrick." What energy? Just because I've seen a man live, what energy do you want me to keep? Do you get what I mean? Like what? This guy's loving.
I
the
think it's
fact
more
I'm
so
getting
he wants.
irritated
I
by
think it's
Yo,
more so
he's
he wants to
loving
know.
this.
But I think it's more so he wants to know if your mind has changed about J. Cole, that it has changed and why.
this. Nah, he's still second to me after Kendrick.
But from where he's standing, it seemed as if you were capable for him this whole time, because more often than not, let's say we have a conversation about rap 5 days out of the week.
Yeah.
At least 3 of those days you're talking about Cole.
Nah, we ain't bring up Cole in the podcast for.
Yes, I'm speaking figuratively, especially in the early days before we even did the pod.
Yeah, because what was out?
Yo, yeah,
FHD.
this guy's acting like he don't know himself. Like he wasn't aware of the fact he'd bring up Cole in
Well,
every
not-
rap.
not-
album.
not-
And let's be honest,
himself.
when I
But did
brought
you
up
not-
Cole,
well, you
it was
keep
9
saying-
times out of 10 it was a troll. Let's be honest, that's
You keep
number
saying
one.
FHD, but did you not like the other stuff that he did before? Like
No,
Friday
no,
Night
no.
Lights and
What I'm
stuff
saying
like
is,
that?
no. What I'm saying was, so when I met these man,
Yeah.
FHD was the album
okay,
that was
fine,
out.
All right,
So
cool,
when
cool.
there's context to it, when I
Yeah.
met Yemi and Pete, FHD was the latest
that
album
was
out.
the thing
So it's
that-
like,
yeah,
yo,
yeah.
he gave me Born Sinner, he gave me FHD, and he gave me Friday Night Lights years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, yo, I have every right to say, yo, I'm
But
fucking with
since
Cole.
then, you're just
But
not
since
feeling
then, if you gave me 2 trash albums back to back, of course I'm not gonna talk about you as much when you're not my GOAT anyway. When you're not in my top 10, he wasn't in my top 10 anyway.
I guess what
What was
Peter
that?
wanted was for you to say that.
No, Peter's a villain. That's all it is.
I mean, he obviously is.
He's a
but
villain. He's a villain.
He obviously-
He wanted me to
he obviously-
swear. He wanted me to get. It's all he wants.
Let's get on to the main topic of today, and boy, it's a bit of a heavy one,
Oh,
but
man.
we're gonna try and make a go of it. So what we want to basically tackle today with Ebony as well is the idea of misogyny and colorism in hip hop. Now, obviously, hip hop and misogyny kind of go hand in hand.
Definitely go hand in hand.
There you go.
I don't want to say that, man,
Why not?
because I feel like regardless of how hip hop has changed over the years, it wasn't always as such. That's not the way hip hop started. The original elements did not include misogyny. It became that. I think it's important for us to look at when the transition happened. It might have been when gangster rap kind of became a real thing, but I mean now, because of like how current form of hip hop is now, it's easy to say yes, it's synonymous. Misogyny is synonymous with rap, but it wasn't always as such. Do you know what I mean? And
No, I mean, listen. If we go back to the roots of hip hop,
Yeah, if you went back to like maybe like the 80s and wherever and you're
Yeah,
listening,
like
to, you probably won't find them maybe referring to women as bitches or.
although you
I
say
mean,
that,
shout out
but
Too
Slick
Short.
Rick
Huh?
in Luddy Duddy, like he,
and
Yeah.
Too Short
he
as
was
well.
he was using. I think he might have been one of the first
then-
that was like referring to a woman as a bitch.
So them's early stuff.
Yeah, Too
Yeah.
Short as well. But it was obviously it wasn't as prevalent as what it was in the 90s and following. I feel like misogyny in hip hop, yeah, even if they didn't start off the back of misogyny, the fact that we have been inundated with so much of that content even since then, it's kind of, I don't want to say it's eradicated the origin, but we're not really looking at the origin anymore when we're talking about it, because there's so much that you could say, rah, hip hop is misogynistic, than the other side saying, "Oh, it's not."
As in,
You
it's
know what
been,
I'm
it's been going for longer than it has.
Especially
It's like whitewashing history to the point where you forget that a lot of this shit came from Africa.
Yeah.
In a sense.
If you want to do that,
fine.
definitely,
Go on then.
Peter,
Go
you're
on
in
then.
rare form.
That was crazy.
Pete's in rare form today. Yo, Pete's coming like shiny Charizard, bro.
Fam. What's a shiny
He's
Charizard?
coming like shiny Charizard today, bro. I'm telling
But
you.
you
that
get
was
what
great.
I'm saying.
That was
really.
great. That was great. But yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, if you're gonna listen to radio these days, or you're gonna listen to radio in the 90s, compared to listening to the same thing in the 80s or the 70s or whatever, like there's no competition. There's no comparison. You know what I'm saying? Because we've got to a point where that sort of stuff, talking about bitches, talking about hoes, just being misogynistic generally in hip hop, was what was selling, what was popular, what was.
You're speaking about it in past tense, and I don't know why. Because it is
Tell me more.
still, it is still the case.
Yeah, but we're tracing back.
okay,
We're tracing
fine.
back. We're tracing back. We're tracing back. So I'm just saying that you're definitely going to find a lot more misogyny in hip hop than you're not, essentially.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, misogyny to me, it does go hand in hand with hip hop. And I get what you're saying about earlier.
Yeah.
You might not find as many traces. But women in general, like within this culture, have never been like, you think about people like Lil Kim, even forget Lil Kim, MC like Queen Latifah, all these earlier like female rappers, right? Like now that I'm like older, it's just like that is actually weird that they can't just be referred to as just rappers, and they're just women who happen to rap as well. But there's that distinction, and then of course we know like this whole discussion over like the like using female to kind of dehumanize and stuff like that. But yeah, misogyny in hip hop is real, like, and it's definitely gone on way longer than it hasn't. So the argument is it won't help it basically, because all the popular rap songs, all the things that are promoted in the mainstream, don't speak favorably of women.
It's systemic. It's systemic, and it has been for a long, long time. Like in the early days when black people kind of owned rap a little bit more, it might not have been as prevalent. Whereas when we start when rap becomes more of a commodity, and we kind of lose more control in that respect, and the infrastructures around it become a little bit more like, oh yeah, record labels this, radio stations that, TV shows and TV channels is that, they're only gonna broadcast and they're only gonna like showcase what's bad about like black culture generally, as far as like objectifying women. I mean, even though that's a societal thing, but we're talking about hip hop in this respect, but also just like dictating what the content is.
So are you saying that where corporations have a huge hand in?
100%.
100%.
I'm going to argue that, man, because it comes down to us, the artists.
The artists
themselves.
are still making the song.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
of course.
A lot of the artists are the ones that are creating the content. No one's telling them, yo, include this word or that word.
But
They're choosing to, regardless of
And
what
even-
their experiences
They go hand
are.
in
The
hand.
record label might be putting pressure on them to make a.
I strongly doubt
Cool.
that.
They go hand in hand. They go hand in hand.
But
I strongly doubt that, man.
They
I
might
think
be-
I think that's an easy cop
You
out.
got to remember like popular culture as well, like where music like and hip hop of course like resides at this point in time, and even before that, popular culture, movies, like, you know, the way women in general are presented to the world is through the lens of it's misogyny. So of course that's going to filter down into the music videos, the way the concepts around women, can't trust them. If the the qualifiers of what makes a better woman, like if she's got like a college degree, if she's, you know, she stays at home and all these types of things. And then of course the disdain that then men have for female rappers, for rappers who are owning like their sexuality, and then they and then also, you know, men hate the women who are like talking boldly about their experiences, and then they'll use a Lauryn Hill, they'll use a Rhapsody that they're not listening to to be like, oh, but Rhapsody doesn't have to take off all her clothes and she's not talking about different. But if you really listen to Rhapsody is still talking about women and the experience of being a woman, and she does talk about sex, maybe not in the same explicit like sense that you know, a Kim or even like now Megan Thee Stallion or whoever may speak about, but they'll use it because she's a comfortable ideal.
I'm glad you mentioned Rhapsody as well, because I want to read out something that I interviewed Rhapsody like a couple of years ago, and she said something that really resonated with me in relation to this topic. She basically said women weren't looked at as being talented or able to compete with the men. They were always reduced to fighting each other. To some people, we had to prove we could rap, and to others, we had to look the part.
Mm-hmm.
So that more or less describes the journey of women in hip hop for the last 4 decades. You know what I mean? And even with someone like a Rhapsody, someone who is like really, really lyrical and swears by her lyrics, she's not like in any way like palatable in that respect of like showing her body or anything. She's still being put in a position where she's having to compete with other women, and it can't be like a communal thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the thing is that you say that she's palatable, but she is for people who just love the like hip hop as it is. But there's one thing that I feel, as a woman, I would say, generally, some men, because we can't do all men.
Hashtag all men.
Some men just say that you just don't care about women experiences. You don't care about what they have to say in their music. It has nothing to do with whether or not they got clothes on or they don't have clothes. You just don't care. Like, and that goes for a lot of society. Like, generally, men are not socialized to care about anything to do with the female experience. So
society doesn't like women.
So it doesn't surprise. Yeah, I know.
And sometimes I ask the question as to whether hip hop likes women.
It does.
Because a lot of the language, is so like, at times it's just so like hateful and so violent, man. Even like, you know, and I love Common. Common's got like some lyrics, and we champion him as, you know, the voice of, you know, the woke or whatever, or conscious, whatever you want to call him. But even like rappers from his like ilk, he's got language that, you know, perpetrates the, you know, misogyny as well. Talib,
all of them.
You know what I mean?
You can't find one that don't. It's very hard.
They all do, and that's to do with like a wider issue, obviously to do with society. But if we're just talking about hip hop, like, of course, come on, it's how it's the things that have been fed to them, how they've, like I said, been socialized, the relationship between men and women in general. Our stories are not ever at the forefront. First woman to do this, first woman to do that. Those are still recent headlines. Do you know what I mean? Like, we do have big female like public figures or whatever the case is, but like in terms of like, let's say like superhero films, right? Like Captain Marvel, that they hated that. They were like, oh my god, how are you doing like a big woman film? I know in Endgame it was really like cheesy the way they did the whole like, you know, like all the superwomen.
Even the Sidemen, they got all of them together.
That was super cheesy because it's like, you know, Captain Marvel stronger than all of them, and it's just like that. It was unnecessary.
Yeah, it didn't make sense. She don't need help.
It didn't make any sense, right? But it's like all these anytime a woman is held up, it's a problem. It doesn't matter if she has clothes on. It doesn't matter if she doesn't. It doesn't matter if she's talking about sex. It doesn't matter if she's not talking about sex. It's a problem just from men. They just don't like it.
In listening to music and growing up with hip hop as well, like, how's it been for you taking in the music when you hear such lyrics?
So, when I was younger, I feel like I was just taking in the music, listening to it as it was, not really understanding too much about relationships between women and men in that way. When I'm getting older, that's when I'm really noticing that, oh wait, like, you know, these narratives about what makes a good woman and what doesn't make a good woman, these are false. Like, you know, Jay-Z has a song like, was it Bitches and Sisters?
Yeah, Blueprint 2.
What the fuck are you talking? Like, honestly, like, so
he gets a lot of stick though. Generally,
he does. Like, I know they, you know, I know he does, and a lot of rappers do. I mean, like, even with someone like Nas, right? Like, you know, they all get criticized because they all do it and flip flop about. You can't trust them. They do this. They're gonna betray you. They're sleeping with all these guys. They're doing this. It's just.
And what's interesting about that is that, like, you have all these rappers that have all this language towards women, but then they surround themselves by nothing but women. It's like how they are viewed as well is dependent on their relationship with women as well. And I find that quite interesting that, like, they can, you know, kind of throw all this language and, you know, towards women and that, but they still kind of need women to kind of.
They use it
that's
as
because
a
do
you know what I mean?
Solidify it to a certain extent.
That's because black women are always.
That hasn't got anything to do.
Black
with
women
them
are always
liking.
going to uplift black men, regardless of that.
No, not at all. It doesn't have anything to do with them. Like, I just find it a bit mad that, like, do you know what I mean?
It doesn't have anything to do with them liking them or anything like that. It's just more for sometimes as a status thing.
It's just image as well.
Image,
just the
like
more girls you got around
like,
you, the more kids will look at you and
girls,
think, oh my god.
Was it money, cash, hoes? Like, you know, that's kind of the mantra, right?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, the hip hop definitely has a problem with women. Like, that, it's clear to see.
Even when women come up, must have a writer, has to be a guy behind them. There's no way they're doing that like by themselves or really like that. They're highly scrutinized pretty much for everything that they put out.
The only reason I think
I was going to just say that as well. I think
the only reason I think that is because the women that do rap that we have seen that have become prominent figures in the game
a lot of
have had male writers behind them, so they automatically think that any woman that comes out there has to be a man. But there's also been like quite a fair amount of women that do rap that haven't had males behind them as well.
That's very revisionist.
No one, I don't know anyone that wrote for Missy Elliott.
That's very revisionist.
Yeah,
or Eve.
Miss MC Light, Queen Latifah, Roxanne Shante.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Did he write bars or hooks though?
Yeah, like
hooks are different.
Who wrote for Eve?
Stevie J.
Like
Oh,
I
sorry.
think Eve has had writers, and what's the problem? Because there's male
Males
rappers
that
that have had writers too. You just don't know. You just don't know about it.
But I think that's the difference.
That's
just
the
because we don't
difference,
know it. Do you know what I mean?
Don't know about it.
And
it's just another strike on women.
If you want a reason, you're gonna go for that.
It's used as another thing
It's
to
used as
like
a crutch.
attack women.
You
know, okay, they've got a writer. They're not that good. They're not doing it themselves. All these, when you have someone like Rick Ross sitting in an interview saying, "Man, if she's on my label, I'm gonna have to I'm gonna want to sleep with her." That's outrageous, and everyone on the thing is laughing, like it's normal. That's crazy to me.
Was that a clip?
Yeah,
with the two girls freestyling?
Yeah, he did an interview with the Breakfast Club, and they were asking him why there wasn't there wasn't like a first lady of MMG, and he said, women are expensive, their upkeep, hair, makeup, all these types of things. But also, I'm not gonna lie, like,
I'm gonna want to try.
Yeah, and that's a big problem.
And that got airbrushed. No one even spoke about that.
They were laughing.
No, because you know why? Until you brought it up, when you just don't think about something.
Things are just so normalized.
Yeah, it's just literally. And
that's a joke.
Especially for someone like Rick Ross as well, who's had you remember that bar when he had You Ain't Even Know It?
Oh, man.
So you've already, so
it's
like you've got which shows you the standard of women, I guess, the way we respect them, because you've already got a problematic bar with You Ain't Even Know It. And then now you're in an interview saying, I might just try, I'm gonna have to hit. So it's like,
and then even that other clip that came out where they had that
the two
TV
women
show,
the two women
and
freestyling.
You see the difference between the two women, right? And I just the dark skinned lady who sung. They didn't even let her finish this tune. They're saying, I don't think that's right for that's not the best song for your voice, and all these other things. And it's just stuff that's like, she had a great voice. Maybe it's fair for you to say that you didn't think that the song that she sang was like the best song, but you could just tell that they wasn't interested the same way, they were praising up.
But do you think they've been conditioned by the industry to do that?
100%.
Yeah,
100%. Where else would you, from your life?
Yeah, I guess where I was getting with that was, do you think it was a conditioning from the industry, or is it more so just a prevalent thought that certain women can do things better than other women?
Well, if you have a certain look, so if your hair is her hair was like really kinky, she's dark skinned, and she's singing in a tone and maybe like a key that might speak to a particular type of artist, and that might not be what they're looking for. So if you're looking at her and thinking of just her look, and you think India or Irie, it doesn't even matter what she then says afterwards. You're just gonna be like, oh yeah, that wasn't it.
That's all you see.
Yeah, that's all you're gonna see. So yeah, definitely a condition of the industry. I was watching the Bad 25 documentary from, and L.A. Reid was on there, and they said Michael Jackson wanted like a black girl in the Way You Make Me Feel video, and L.A. Reid was like, are you crazy? Absolutely not. And it was like L.A. Reid's I won't get into it, but he's just like a problem in himself.
Yeah, we don't like L.A. Reid.
Yeah, he's a problem. But in that documentary, he was like really laughing, like Michael wanted a black girl in the video, but we were like, absolutely not. Like, no way. Like, are you crazy? They can't put a black girl in that video. I was like, what? That's Michael Jackson, not hip hop, but I'm just saying, that attitude, because he was at one point the president of like Epic and stuff like that, putting out like rap music.
Now I was gonna say, at that point, isn't it on the, like, we already know how the record label feels about black women, so then is it on the artist to be like, no, this is, like, Michael could have said,
but why the artist doesn't go?
And that's what's the problem. And he could have turned around and
this
said,
is where
I want a black woman on my in the video.
That's why I was kind of going with like the infrastructure thing, because I feel like once the infrastructure shifts towards a certain type of content, the rapper, especially like 90s, early 2000s, maybe not so much now, but those times when rap was really becoming a commodity and becoming like $1 billion billion industry, they're gonna go where the money's at, and they're gonna make songs about bitches and hoes and shit, even if they are.
But yes, you're saying that as though these rappers are doing it to survive, but they're choosing to do it, man. And I feel
we don't know the situations
because they need to survive.
No, but Yeah, but that's part of the problem though, and I think that's definitely it. I don't think they're being told to do it. I think a lot of these artists are just choosing to do it, and that's the problem. Like,
but
where have we gotten to where?
I feel like they're influenced though.
It's the money.
I feel like
influenced.
I feel like they're influenced by the industry and everything one around them showcasing a certain type of hip hop that is like you can make money from it and shit. And from that, they're choosing to make that type of music because it's gonna get them to a certain place. So it all kind of works in tandem.
Yeah, it's just
but they can still they can keep a sound, or they can make a sound that will, I guess, bring more people into their artistry. It doesn't necessarily have to. A lot of music these days ain't even lyric driven anyway. So, I mean, the language isn't really an excuse. Like, in a sense where like they can say they don't have to talk shit about women. They can. The sound is enough to pull people in to appeal to more people. So I don't think labels are encouraging them to use language.
What now or just in general?
To speak in a degrading manner.
I don't think so. Man.
I think labels.
I think a lot of it's got to do with. I think that's a lot of it.
You can't deny the fact that labels. If there's a winning formula, a label's gonna want that winning formula and them to run with it.
Bro, but that winning formula does not include saying bitches, hoes, and sluts. That's not the winning formula.
But it did at one point.
No, bro, I don't think that's ever been the formula.
We don't know that for sure. We don't know any of these for sure.
I don't think it's ever been the formula.
Not the winning formula. Not the winning formula, but in terms of this is kind of the blueprint of what sells.
This is just what's cool.
Yeah, this is the blueprint of what sells.
No, but what's cool is the sound, though, guys. It's not the bars.
But not to the rappers, though, because the rappers are always competing with each other. Who's got the best looking women? Who's got the most women? How naked are these women in the videos? Or like how can I speak about a woman never really favorably when they're speaking about them? Like, what's the most tragic thing I could say? Like,
it becomes a competition almost.
Like that.
Just like
you know, like when someone like Jay-Z is making a song, literally saying this makes you a good woman and this makes you a bad woman, and then also have not like a bad woman, but you know, like just that separation, and then having a song like Song Cry admitting to cheating and her moving on, and then getting at her for moving on. Come on, man.
And that filters through to other generations, and they feel like they see Jay-Z who's successful doing this shit, they're going to do the same shit. So it's always going to be ingrained. I agree with you. Nowadays, they don't have to do that shit. Of course not. It's very much on the sound. Maybe back in the day, though, they were kind of more of an equal footing between the sound and the content. Like, the content more or less made the sound, and the sound embellished whatever the content was. So I feel like back then, 90s, early 2000s, it might have been a little bit more imperative for people who wanted to make money from rap to do this, to rap about the sort of shit that, you know, discriminates against women, sort of thing. Whereas now you don't have that as much of an issue because you can make money anyhow. You know what I'm saying?
I still disagree, man. I still disagree, man. I'm putting the onus on the artists themselves. I'm not. Because the artists are making the song. I mean, I'm not allowing the corporations. I'm not giving them that. No, I'm blaming the artists. I'm blaming these rappers that are putting pen to paper and choosing to use such and such words.
Choosing to put that out.
Yeah, 100%.
Out there.
I'm not saying,
but they also get teased or like maybe made fun of when they do then want to try and potentially empathize with women.
I.e. Drake.
Right? You want to empathize with, you want to attempt, because Drake is a, you know, shaky too, but like you try to attempt to maybe empathize,
be more in touch with your emotions.
Yeah, but Drake's a funny.
Not necessarily being just like talk about women and maybe the things that they are doing and going through, and you know, like a song like The Ride where he's speaking about those insecurities and maybe going to get the surgery and all these other things, and you know how that relationships and how they might break down gets a lot.
But then he'll go through her phone.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
That's what I'm saying. So he can't.
Again,
it's the messenger.
Again, yeah, exactly. Again, it's always that thing where it's a flip flop thing, and it's, you know, none of them are consistent. Not the socially conscious ones, and not the super bubblegum pop rappers. Like none of them.
For sure. And
it's probably a deeper conversation, but like, why?
I think it's more for you have to take it out of hip hop and then look at society.
It's a bigger
like it's a you have to look at society and stuff. Like I was watching some movies recently, Angelina Jolie and Julia Roberts, and it's just I was looking at just how we know Angelina Jolie's been super sexualized. Just at least in my experience of her, she's always been sexualized. Julia Roberts not so much, and the way they present, there's sex scenes in Angelina Jolie's spy movies that don't need to be there, but it's just because
it's who they.
But Julia Roberts doing some like roles, maybe it's a lawyer role, whatever. Never in that kind of way. I know she's got like Pretty Woman and all these things, but it's not the same. Some of the Angelina Jolie stuff, watching it now, I was like, this is a little bit seedy. I'm not feeling this, but I have to think about the way, again, women are presented and certain women are propped up. Ooh, her lips. Like, this was just like, that was a big thing, like, you know.
Yeah.
So, just look at society, entertainment, pop culture, the things that are just at the forefront constantly.
Yeah, hip-hop is a microcosm of what society is saying, basically. And there's no if buts or maybes about it. Like,
particularly towards black women, because I know we've spoken about misogyny generally, but I think it's important to really hone in on that. This is this is directed purely at black women within music.
Black women are not. They are just dissed and kind of thrown about, and we're just not rated at all. Yeah, there's no protection there within like hip hop.
Yeah, and it's mad because that black women.
Look at the Meg Thee Stallion situation. We don't know any facts or anything, but just the reaction towards her in that situation. But, you know, Sci-Hi gets shot and everyone's super sympathetic to him. Didn't even question if it was real. There was no evidence. We don't know. He just went on his Instagram, said, I was getting shot at or whatever the heck. We have
no case in bullets on that.
TMZ didn't report that shit. There was like nothing about it. Oh man, like prayers up, man. Thoughts and prayers, like stay strong. All of these types of things. Meg Thee Stallion, there's video. There's a bunch of things, but that can't be true. What's that about? What is that about?
No, you're right.
Also, women projects, like albums and stuff, when they come up, they're not handled in the same way. You know, they're not reviewed in the same way. It's already capped at 40%. It's basically just capped at 40%. Like always, it's just always capped at 40%. People don't even want to talk about Lauryn Hill's mistake. They're like, she only had the one album. Like now, anyway, maybe not like.
I'd defo say that.
She's got the one album. That's fine.
I'd defo say that.
That's fine, but some of your favorite rappers only have one good album.
I get onto them too. I 100%
will. I'll say just equal opportunity.
I'll keep the same energy.
You're consistent, but like,
you say equal opportunity.
100%.
Not to go back onto a Cole conversation, but if Cole only has one good album every 10-year average and it's FHD,
you ain't even got that.
Don't chat to me about you don't want to talk about Lauryn Hill being a great because she got one album. I don't want to hear it. You know?
That is a bit wild. Shout out to Jay-Z.
Yeah, I hear that.
Shout out to Jay-Z.
I guess, like, obviously this is the unanswerable question, but like, why do we have such a problem with like hip hop anyway? Why do we have such a problem with black women?
I think,
don't know, you as black men would need to tell me.
So,
like, as cis heterosexual men, why do we have such an issue with black women, especially as they're the first to like be there for us, be our foundation, be our support system? Why do we perpetuate music that shits on them?
Yeah, I really wish I had an answer to that. I don't have an answer to it, man. I genuinely.
Is there any ego involved? Like,
probably.
In what sense?
Is it like black women always being kind of prepped up as like the strong, independent head of the household a lot of the time, character, and when she steps out to do her own thing, that you're not comfortable with, that's an issue. What do you mean you want to be in, like, you have your own, like, you're not a side character in my main story? What do you mean you're over here talking about what, like I said, you don't care about our experiences. You don't, like, you know, a lot of the time, you know, that's why I said some men should just say that they just don't care for, like, about women stories. You don't care about Meg's stories to do with how she's, like, explored, like, whether it's her sexuality or, like, relationships. You don't care about that stuff. And you don't care about what Rhapsody's saying either. You don't care about Rhapsody's journey of like self-love and all these things. You don't care. Just say that. You know, if it makes you feel uncomfortable because women are talking about what happens with them and you have to face that and they're saying, you wasn't that good to me. Like, you didn't treat me that well. Like, on Jasmine Sullivan's Hotels, you know, she's got those little interludes where, and even the songs are just speaking to women and just the way they, like, feel about themselves and the aspirations and the goals that they have. a lot of men should just say you don't care. So you don't care.
Yeah.
You don't care.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a thing where we want to control the narrative.
Yeah.
And that's where all the misogynistic shit, or where all the imagery of like the video vixens and shit comes into it, because we're controlling women's destinies in that respect. When women want to step out of that and they want to control their own narrative, whether it's, you know, being sexual themselves or being lyrical or whatever, so basically like a Cardi B or a Rhapsody, there's an issue with that. We must have an issue with women, black women, having their own agency in this thing.
Yeah.
Is it fair? Is it fair?
It's not fair
Fear of
because
what,
also
Fear of essentially like if a woman does if a woman in rap does get to the point where like she doesn't really need like any man to like support, help, anything, and she might become the star, and then like more women start becoming empowered, and then more it just starts domino effect, and then men are outnumbered, and then they can take over the industry.
I don't think it's
so. Is there an element of
I
that?
don't think it's fair.
Maybe.
There is that, and also just the highlight, like the spotlight being on you. So for years and years and years, you lot have spoken about or put out these ideas, like these negative stereotypes about women. Now, if the light is shone on you, and we're talking about how broke you are, how you're not a leader, so you can't not lead this household, or like, you know, or just women's story, huh?
Got a little dick.
Yeah, you got a little dick, or you know, a woman who is in multiple relationships, keeping her options open, and if the spotlight just turns on you, and now all the negative stereotypes are about you, men don't have like the same. I feel I don't know. You lot don't know how to empathize.
The male ego
like,
is
I listen to male hip hop. I listen to rappers all the time, and I guess there's a part of maybe there's some compartmentalization in listening to music that's not necessarily talking that favorably about me. But men can't do that. That's why I asked you what your experience was.
That's because the male ego.
That's why it's always like, oh, it's not for me.
But that's because the male ego is very fragile, and that's why we do this shit.
Well,
That's why
these things are happening. So like when women now have got like Cardi doesn't need men. She has a big female audience.
Yeah, Cardi.
That's why she's popping, and you can't control that. Has nothing to do with you lot. Or, like somewhat like, you know, even like a Sweetie or a Meg. All the new chicks having that big female audience, whereby actually you can't get rid of you just because we don't like what you represent and what you're saying.
Yeah, you're definitely starting to see the new kind of attitude. There was this whole
big thing about Cardi's line in that Up tune where she said, you know, like broke, like, and it became a broke shaming. But rappers are broke shaming you like every day.
Did that really become a thing?
Somewhat online, maybe not like a real, but yeah, people.
Like some people are trying to get people getting emotional about it.
Yeah, like men are saying, "Oh, she's broke shaming," like men's mental health, and we understand that's important and stuff like that. But you are listening to rappers. I remember on the Creps.
Is that what we tried to do?
I think Creps and Conan. Oh, I'm trying to. Maybe it's in 7 days. I can't remember what album it was. Maybe it was like the 7 days. One of the songs, Conan says something like, "You should kill yourself." Like literally, like you should kill yourself if you didn't like make like a certain amount of like. It was just a very wild line, but it's I think it's on that. I can't remember. I think it's way. But there's a line that he has that I always thought, wow, that's harsh. Well, that's harsh. Like some people don't know how to get that much money and stuff. And just in general, men are always telling men like the popular rap is braggadocious, and it's telling you that you're broke, and I'm gonna take your girl because you're broke, and there's nothing you can do about it. Get your money up. You're amazing.
Figure it out.
Amazing.
You fucking brokey.
Yeah. Like that's just one element, but just in general, like men are not necessarily like uplifting men.
No, they're not.
They're not uplifting men either. You know, it's a lot of just shitting on them as well, and men don't seem to have a problem with that. That's okay. That's idolized.
I think it's just because when you're young, you don't know what you're listening to, and then by the time you resonate with it, it's already deep in your thought process. Like,
yeah.
Do you remember?
And then you're looking through it through that lens now, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like when you start to reflect back. Like obviously we didn't grow up with BET Uncuts, but I think in America they did for a long time, the early 2000s. Where the videos were wild, the lyrics were wild.
And all of that.
Tip drill was the bank card.
I rewatched that video recently in prep for this.
Yeah, the tip drill. Yeah,
have you seen it?
Like how
Nelly,
necessary was
tip drill?
this?
I haven't seen the
it's wild.
uncut video.
Highly unnecessary.
That's what got BT Uncut.
Highly unnecessary.
Tip drill was the final song that.
Yeah, so you move from the lyrics to then the visuals.
Yeah,
right. But even just like I don't know if you guys have seen. There's a Jay-Z interview. There's two girls like.
I saw this on Twitter.
Oral sex on each other.
Yeah.
Whilst he's getting interviewed.
Was that Uncle Luke? Was that with Uncle Luke?
Yeah. Like
just calmly giving top
just
to
things
each
like
other.
that is like, you know, it feeds into everything else. That it's okay to do this. When Ja Rule's on an interview at the Breakfast Club and he's talking about Corinne Stephens, also known as Superhead, it's absolutely crazy that a woman was reduced to a name as Superhead, right? But he's in the interview and he's saying, yeah, man, she was just like a party favor. Just a party favor. A whole human being. All right. They're all laughing.
So they're not even a commodity. They're just like there. They're like an accessory.
She was a party favor. And even some of these like nicknames and things, you know, Wendy Williams gets a lot of flack and she's not someone who I like align with or anything like that. But again, she was a strong woman who was calling rappers out. Of course, she's a gossip, tabloid, whatever. But again, met with just a lot of hate. Yeah. Women in general, you know. Yeah. It's bad.
Yeah, man.
It's clearly just so ingrained, like.
And where hip hop like affects cultures like to a different degree, man, it's so interlinked with like what happens outside to what happens in rap. It's so like they influence each other. So like what's going on in rap, what we talk about in rap is going to affect like, you know, a 14-year-old, 15-year-old that's consuming this music, and then they're going to perpetuate that behavior in the real world outside of music. And then it just becomes a
think that's the cool thing.
Do you know what I mean? So it's just
that's how you treat women.
So it's like a never-ending cycle.
And then on the flip side, you've got that stuff happening in like the hood and that, and then rappers that are coming from the hood are talking about what's happening in the hood, and if that's in the hood, they're gonna put that on wax, and then it's just gonna be perpetuated on both sides.
It's a vicious cycle.
You know what I mean? And it's our community, and that's not to say that other genres of music. I mean, all genres of music.
Everyone does
it. All comes from like black people in it, but you know, but rock music. It all comes from black people in it. But rock music particularly has got like, you know, quote unquote a white face on it at the moment, innit? But even that genre of music and country as well, it's got a lot of misogyny as well. Yeah. So is it? It's just a world.
It's not a hip hop issue. I think it's a world issue.
And then,
let's not say it's just a.
And you know, misogyny is also projected by women too, in like music that they may make. And then they're calling, that woman is the worst. Like, you know, it's just a.
But to that point,
but is that just
is it because they're working within the narrative that's basically been written for them?
Well, if you look through, if everything we look, if you grow up and you look through the lens, and your lens is through a male lens, you're going to make those separations. That's why there's the term pick-me's. Women who are still operating under a particular, like under that lens, thinking that I need like. I cook, I clean, I don't mind if he does like all of this. Like they taught you that. That's not real. Like, you know, you can subscribe to that if you want, but it's a hard road. That might be a hard road for you. Like if you really pick that and you want to subscribe to just, you know, submitting your like whole will to like the male gaze and what they want and what they deem as valuable. That's the thing. Men putting value on women, on certain women.
Perhaps that's just a survival thing too. For like a lot of women that feel like, you know what, I'm coming into this male-dominated genre of music and I feel like I have to be this way. It's not that they want to, but if that's maybe the only way that they can get heard.
And that leads to my next point. The likes of Nicki, the likes of Cardi, Meg, Sweetie.
But then but there's a lot of agency as well. It's liberation. Do you know what I mean?
But how much of it is a defense mechanism and how much of it is agency?
I would, you know.
Because you're going into the game having seen Little Kim, having seen Foxy Brown, seeing that this is a very viable way of getting through and making money and shit, and you are expressing yourself sexually, you're liberating yourself and all that stuff. So there's that as well. But how much of that is getting accustomed to or adapting to what is already around you?
I think with Little Kim specifically, I think Biggie was the one that encouraged her to be more sexual and talk about sex and stuff. But before that, she was just a hard MC. So I think that's a perfect example of just adapting, just having to survive, doing what you have to do to get to a certain point to where you can then choose what you want to be and how you want to do it. But I don't know if that's always the case. In Meg and Cardi, I don't know if there's anyone behind them saying, yo, you have to be so. I think they're just choosing that. I think that they've got
that's
agency.
That's just their thing, because Cardi
and that's fine.
Cardi's first initial mixtape, she is still rapping and talking
gangster,
like she's got, exactly. Like she's still talking about all the like the gang shit that she was on, but she's also talking about just her experience as a woman and being a stripper at some point and all these types of things. Like that's just her and that's her story, and that's okay. You know, there's also this thing of like, if you're that way, you can't be the other way. Like, you know, if you're going to be overtly sexual you can't then be also socially conscious, and that's not fair. Because men do it all the time, flip flopping. You decide when they want to have maybe an empathetic tune or whatever the case is, and then when they want to, oh man, she's trash.
I.e. Drake.
I mean,
Drake is just, you know, he's just got women trouble. Like, you know, he's just got women trouble. He doesn't know what he wants.
Yeah, it's just male privilege, and I can't put it any other way. Like, it's male privilege. We have the privilege of being able to be that way, being woke or being like socially aware or being in our feelings, kind of, and you know, keeping women at a certain level. Yeah, you know what I mean. So it's that privilege. Women don't have that privilege, and hip hop has systematically worked to keep women in a certain position. And
even that whole thing, there can only be one. You know, and then they're literally just being Nicki Minaj for like 10 years.
Yeah, Nicki had
no one else could get a look in. Even Azealia Banks had her 212. She put out, you know, she put out her mixtapes. There was like Angel Hayes. There were all these rappers, like when Nicki, because everyone's like, oh, how come it was just, but it wasn't even that. There were other like rappers out, but they weren't getting like the highlight.
Yeah, Jean Grey's been around for time. Nitty Scott's been around for a minute.
Yeah, she rebranded though, like, but she rebranded, and I think she's now like doing like.
But that rebrand, I feel like that's because the industry didn't accept her for who she initially was. Though that's what it felt like.
Yeah, no, and it wouldn't be surprising. Yeah. It wouldn't be surprising because if this is what you want to do and you're really trying to get in, somebody like Rhapsody is extremely lucky, right? Because Ninth Wonder is her mentor, and that's where she gets to get in. And so Ninth Wonder already coming with a particular esteem from men.
But it still took some time for Rhapsody because she'd been around for a while before Layla's Wisdom. Yeah, that wasn't like the first. She had
of course. Because I remember when The Idea of Beautiful came out. I'm not sure if her link with Ninth Wonder was at that point, because I feel like that was like the first. That was the first time I heard of her anyway. But again, it's still not appreciated. It doesn't matter if she has tunes of Absol, Kendrick, or whoever. It doesn't matter. No one cares. They just use her as in defense against the other thing that they don't like. They just that's why I'm like, it's boring.
Do the consumers perpetuate this misogyny as well? Because for instance, if like, you know, a lot of us listeners were like, no, I'm not supporting that, I'm not supporting this, and those are the music that has like the most misogyny, I'm sure there would be a shift. Yeah,
but I think because now it's more, maybe it's more casual fans and people who don't really care that much about the music. It's all playlist based algorithm. Like, this is just cool. No one goes. I watch a lot of artist interviews. Most people do not. They don't look for context, and they're not that interested, and you know, that keeps things going. Like when you don't really have to think too tough about like the people that you're listening to.
And to a casual fan, that shit is very exciting. You know what I'm saying? Especially if they're not black as well. And a lot of non-black people consume hip hop. So they're gonna find Money Cash, Hoes more interesting than
essentially living through it as well.
It's like that voyeuristic thing where you're kind of looking in and you know, that's like like that's how that goes and stuff. You know, I think Jack Harlow, I think he had like a black girl or something on his cover or whatever the case was.
I saw that.
There was some talk about that, and it's just, you know.
What, Jack Harlow put a black girl
in his album cover, I think.
Yeah, he had like a black girl on the album cover, and there was like just a small discussion online, I guess, about like, you know, the white boy got a black girl on his cover, and it's like, man,
this internet annoys me, bro. I hate the internet. I see why you're not on social media.
The types of things that happen on like Twitter, especially, not Instagram's a different place, but Twitter. Oh my god, like the narratives that get created and the conversations that come up.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's a very mad situation. But how do we feel about colorism in hip hop generally, though?
I mean, it's there. It's evident.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's been there for negative, a minute, you know.
In what ways?
I don't think it hasn't always been there, though. Because I think music videos in like the early 90s, I don't feel like were predominantly just light-skinned women. I don't feel like.
I think maybe when they got more budgets towards the end of the 90s, and it was more big production videos.
After like the Jiggy era. So we blaming like Puff.
Shiny suits
and that.
Shiny suit.
Any excuse for him to say Jiggy.
Bruv, I hate Shiny Suit and Jiggy because of this guy.
You know what I mean? But I feel like, I think you hit the nail on the head.
When they got like bigger budgets and stuff.
Hype
Williams got involved, they just ruined the game.
Yeah, because actually when you think about like those early like videos.
I'm remembering Big Pimpin'. which was
Yeah, those are
predominantly
like-
like
those are-
Latino women.
Dave Dash
you know
was just
what I
doing
mean?
stupidness.
Yeah.
Do we not think that's colorism is also societal as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
100%.
100%, man.
Because even like the most prominent rappers, like in the beginning, were like dark skinned women,
Mm.
and then obviously visuals and videos took charge as well, and then you got more used to like the red bone or the light
That's
skinned
like
girl.
that's
and
common like verbiage like in
Yeah.
raps and stuff like red
Yeah.
bone, yellow bone.
Childish Gambino had a whole song
Um,
called Redbone.
Yeah, that's the one that everyone loves.
Yeah,
isn't
that's
it?
the one,
Yeah.
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 but
Yeah, it's like it's all there. And colorism,
And it's all attacks on black women.
yeah,
Or certain type
unfortunately.
of black women.
yeah, 100%, and even today, like it might be a bit of a stretch, but you see like the Doja Cats and the Sweeties, becoming more and more prominent. Whereas people who might do the same thing, like a Cash Doll or whatever, aren't as
Mm.
aren't as
That's-
prominent.
that's interesting.
Yeah, that's actually a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just something that I thought about because obviously, like there's a whole generation of
Cash Doll
there's
was
a,
popular, but definitely not in the same realm.
yeah, there's a whole generation of like female rappers that do that sort of shit,
Mm.
and I suppose the more fairer skinned women are getting more of the spotlight. From
That's
what I'm looking
interesting,
at, from
yeah.
what I'm looking at anyway.
Mm.
Obviously, Sweetie, Doja Cat. If we want to call Meg fairer skinned and okay,
No,
I mean,
no,
I mean, compared to
not
like a
really.
Cash Doll or whatever, but But I
But
I
she
wouldn't
still
necessarily,
falls on-
but
yeah, she still thought like it's I wouldn't, to be fair, but yeah, it's yeah,
Cardi as well.
yeah. I mean that was a conversation at one point that Cardi was being propped up because she was like light skinned and
Yeah.
that's why all the industry were behind her and stuff like that, as opposed to somebody else. But she's still here. People said she was gonna burn out in like a year or whatever. She never have another Bodak Yellow or whatever the case. She's still here, man. She's doing her thing. Like I think she went diamond the other day. So
Yeah, it's mad.
yeah,
She ain't made good music since that album as well, which is crazy.
Invasion of Privacy. It's the only one that she's got though.
yeah, for sure, for sure. And and since then it's not been
You're not here for the last 2-3 songs.
not at all.
Then like what?
It was alright, and then it
I
wasn't.
think that beat was hard.
You did like Up. I think that's what it's called.
Nah,
Up, oh yeah. Oh no, I didn't like Up,
I didn't really
but I
like
did
that.
like the one with Meg, and I like Press as well. But
I didn't really like Press like that.
yeah,
My favorite Cardi song was before she was actually rapping. I think she was talking Love and Hip Hop times, Red Bars. But she just bodied it. She was talking
yeah.
gang
Red
shit.
Bars is cold.
Yeah, she just talking gang shit. And
Red
that's what she's doing.
Red Bars.
Trust you to
but
like
she's
that.
Yo,
but,
oh, she's
but,
talking
but
crud,
she's,
bro.
But she still talks like that.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what.
like
no.
Get Up 10
yeah,
is
yeah.
amazing.
Get Up 10 is
Like,
full
I know,
crud. Yeah.
Again, Get Up 10 and everyone's like, oh, it's the Meek Mill intro. Is Meek Mill the first guy to rap kind of slow,
And
let
then
the
speed
beat
up.
drop, and then speed up?
Very true.
What? Come on,
true.
man.
No, that was hard. That was hard.
Let her have it. That's
was
the
hard.
thing. We never let them have it. Don't say Get Up 10 is her attempt at a Meek Mill. We know she likes Meek, and they're cool. They got a cool relationship, whatever. But it's always something like they're always tying a woman back to like the male rapper. Maybe that's just to do a comparison, but
Yeah, Get Out 10 was.
it's always very like I don't know, important for like guys to point out that they're trying to copy and sound like like this.
Just trying to take credit away from. Yeah.
Always trying to discredit women like with their music.
So when we see like female,
But
MC
again, sorry, are Foxy and Kim to blame for that?
No,
No?
because I think that division between Foxy and Kim was everybody else around them.
No, but like in a sense where the pens behind them were Nas, Jay, and Big. So typically, because they had those pens behind them, they're gonna sound like the pen. So because of that, a lot of people will automatically feel like women are gonna have male pens behind them, and then they're gonna be sounding like whomever. So,
But that's also to do. You know what? Part of me wants to just like be like. Also, men made it. Like they made it. You didn't have to say anything. Like guys go out of their way to Safari for years, toyed with people on
He was
whether or
corny
not.
for that.
But that was
whether or not he wrote for Nicki. He like whether he did it for years. He was like just messing with people, and that being a narrative that Nicki doesn't write her bars and all these types.
But
of
people
things.
believed it, which shows you the misogyny.
Of
They
course,
believe that guy
but
like
it's
Safari.
but you know, if you
Correct,
The people
if
believe
Big
that.
was-
People 1000% believe Safari wrote Nicki's bars
yeah,
for a long time.
even till now, people
believe
still
it.
believe.
1000%.
People still
you believe
believe.
it?
Yeah, people still
you really?
believe that like Safari wrote.
I was in my real anti-Nicki phase back then.
Okay.
Damn.
Yeah.
See, Nicki. I remember when Nicki came out, people wasn't. They didn't even like her. They wasn't.
I remember
like,
Nicki was on the
into
streets
her.
freestyling.
I always thought she
bruv.
could bar. I always thought she was like
Yeah,
a
she
dope
was hard
barrer.
when she came out. Those mixtapes that she
And then
had.
you learn that
Yeah,
she's
just on
like
the steps
What?
very
freestyling.
horrible
She was
person.
bad.
Crazy, but they just wasn't. People just weren't into it. But yeah, I mean, again, if you know Biggie, Jay, Nas, whoever was writing, again, other men in the industry or them themselves making it known, hey, I wrote for that person. And
The maddest thing is, I don't
and it's
think
only with the women.
I don't think that man came out and said it though. I feel like reference tracks because I remember Kim's got a song called Queen Bitch.
But why does it
And
happen
then
so
a-
much more for women though? Even when Cardi put out that tune, Be Careful, next thing we heard was the party version.
Yeah.
Why does that always happen? The Quentin Miller thing was maybe it was like with Drake was like, you know, when once that was like that happens, but that's not common. You know, we don't hear all the reference tracks that do definitely happen. We know about ghost producers and stuff, you know, and of course there's people there writing bars for some of your like favorite rappers and stuff like that. We just it's just not getting out.
Yeah, Tyrese told us that. Tyrese told us on the Breakfast Club.
Tyrese.
Most of your he said it on the Breakfast Club.
Tyrese.
I feel you, but
Why would you want me, man?
But he said on the Breakfast Club like years ago, like most of your favorite rappers use ghostwriters. You just don't know it. I've been in sessions with these people.
It's not intentional. There's no intent there for like. But with women, it's always always just happens.
It has to come
It
out.
just happens. Oh, the reference track is just
I didn't
out.
think
There's
about
no
that.
protection. There's no protection. They're not guarded in the same way.
Yeah, because they're still
You
seen
know.
as second-class citizens. But
Yeah.
how do we feel then when, like, let's say we see a Cardi and Nicki beefing and we see them actually trying to throw hands at each other
That's fine.
at the Met Gala and
That's
shit?
fine.
Is that a fate? Is that like a massive sign of just how, like, because obviously they were
No.
like really paired against each other to like beef and shit like that.
Yeah.
Is that like yet another sign of just how far misogyny runs?
No, not at all. I think it's
women
just
can fight.
No,
yeah, it's
no.
just I think it's just two women having an issue
it's
with each
on
other.
site. If you
And they
said
just
so- if
caught
you
up with each other's
if it
friends.
said- if you said something about which the rumor was that I think Nicki had made a comment on the Queen Radio or whatever about her child. It's on site when I see you. Forget everything else. That is absolutely fair, and that doesn't count against women. It's not women are fighting and.
But
no,
it does. But it will in some circles.
You lot
though.
count it against women.
Some
as a
of you-
woman-
some of you lot.
Some of you lot count it against. Some of you lot count it against women because it works for your narrative. But you know, I'm just seeing. If you said something,
It's just two. I just saw
that's
two women
out,
having a
that's
fight.
out.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on what you're seeing. Yeah, to us, but for
But
some
although
people,
on that though,
I mean,
um,
Cardi with a dirty knot in her head.
on that though, I don't think there were any male figures that put Kim against Fox though. Those two had issues. If anything, they were supposed to do an album together. They were.
They were cool.
I think Leo, was it Leo Cohen or one of them
Leo
execs.
Cohen is a
He's
demon,
a devil, but
bruh. He's
Call him the devil. It's fine. You can call him the
yeah,
devil.
I feel like they were actually
Oh my
trying to
God.
like push them together, but something happened on a tour where Kim wasn't happy with Foxy. Kim didn't want to open up for Foxy or the other way around. So that's
like
where
when Jay-Z didn't want to open up on that tour that he walked off of. I can't remember who he was supposed to. He was supposed to go on a tour with one artist. I can't remember now, and he didn't want to open up for them either. He was like, "I'm out. Like, I'm not doing that." That wasn't a big deal. They ended up being cool, but that's
no.
you know,
But I'm saying that to say that like. Yes, I agree with you that males definitely want to push a certain narrative, but there are instances where I don't feel like there are any male figures trying to push
and that's so. But that,
this narrative as well.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that's fine because at the end of the day they're human. So if they have a
If they have an issue, they have an
if
issue.
they have a conflict, they
Well,
have a
that's a script.
conflict. That's perfectly fine. We're not all harmonious all the time with each other. You know, we don't always like each other.
Me and Yam had a shouting match just last week.
but
Yeah.
unfortunately,
But it's okay for men to show aggression towards
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah.
It's not okay for women to show aggression towards each other. It's like, oh man,
Yeah, unfortunately,
you're
that's the
splitting
narrative.
you're splitting the women up and But you lot, you know, Young M.A. is there and she raps like a guy. She puts out all the same misogynistic stereotypes and she's not held up. You lot should love her. Men should love Young M.A.
I mean, probably would a little
But
bit
she's
more.
a woman.
Yeah,
so
for sure,
you
for
don't. But if
But,
she was
you
a
know.
guy,
I mean,
young M.A. Men
That's an
should
interesting
love.
point.
I mean,
Men should love Young
is a
M.A.
carbon copy
That's
of
an
Hot
interesting
Nigga.
point.
So.
That's an interesting point.
Yemi, what did you
I
say?
truly believe
is a
that they should
carbon
love
copy
her.
of Hot Nigga, so that's probably For me anyway, that's
But
what.
just, I mean, fine, that's fine because the beat is similar, but she's had songs after that.
No, for sure.
And
She can rap.
she is rapping from a male perspective. She's a woman. But she's a woman.
But
So
she's-
because she's a woman,
But she's also
don't
gay.
care.
But she's
Huh?
also gay as well.
I know,
right?
but what I'm saying is the content that some men gravitate to and what is in the mainstream is what's in her music.
Of course. But at the
So
same
why
time.
don't men love her? Like, she's a woman.
Well, yeah, it's twofold. It's twofold. She's a woman, but she's also gay.
I don't think.
And
the
she's
sex
also
act-
just not that good.
Spud me, please. No, thank you. Honestly,
As
'Cause
a
in
ma-
my
as a-
mind,
I think that's important.
no,
though.
because in my
as a
mind, I'm
guy-
racking it
as a
like,
guy-
bro.
as a guy, that's good because that's how you look qualify it. But there's so much mediocre rappers. That
Listen,
are,
I'm with you.
okay.
I love getting onto these mediocre rappers. I love
Okay,
it.
that's cool. As long as you're
I'ma get onto all of them.
As long as you're
Alright, Peter,
consistent and
tell me.
don't say because again, there's a qualifier for women that's not the same for men.
Oh,
there's-
no, for sure.
There's,
Okay,
there's
yeah,
a
yeah,
lot
yeah, yeah.
more like mediocre male rappers than women.
Then there are
But it's only the women that oh man, like it's not good, innit? Like it's not for me, it's just not. She's not good. Can't rap. Ugh, flow is terrible. Your list, Rich the Kid is there, right? Like these people are there, and
No, Rich, he
I'm
could
just-
go
but
to
I'm
hell
just-
too.
but these people are popular.
They're the ones that are up
they're-
there. Yeah,
they're,
yeah.
they're popular. You lot gave 6ix9ine so much room,
Fam.
so much room.
Fam.
Disgusting,
Fam.
disgusting.
I mean, some of you though. But I feel you.
Yeah.
No, I feel you though. I mean, obviously, again, it just goes back to the whole idea of like hip hop men not liking black women.
Yeah,
Generally.
like men are very accommodating. I remember on that on the Breaking Atoms link up that we did, right, when Amani Caesar was brought up, everyone, oh man, wasted that DJ Premier beat. Oh, I can't.
Who said that?
You
Yeah,
lot
I wasn't
with it-
with- I wasn't
you-
with that
no,
at all.
But
I wasn't with that at all.
I say that to say that there would have been a lot more. There was a conversation about Conway, and it was a lot more empathetic. It was like, man, I hope he's alright. Like, I know the music, he's talking about some things, and I just hope he pulls it together on the next project. Meg is trash! Oh my god! And this is just constant.
That's a great point.
That is just
That's a great
constant.
point.
She got the DJ Premier beat, wasn't good enough. You would have been so much more accommodating if if a man had that beat. You would have found a way to, not you, someone would have found a way to
The mad thing is-
it would have
the mad thing is, though,
reason
know
why
how many-
that was okay, that it wasn't what they thought.
Do you know how
it was
many
gonna
dead
be.
rappers that Primo's given a beat to? That's
Huh?
that's the mad thing.
I'm
Group
just-
home.
Afro
but
Raw,
because of-
fam.
but-
Come on, man. What
but
we doing
again,
here?
But again, because of the respect level that you have for
Conway.
him,
Yeah.
the fact that he gave her the thing, it's like, oh my god, and it's like, oh, it wasn't that. But you would have just been more accommodating if it was a man. You would have found a
Yeah,
reason to
You're right.
like it, or not even like it, but just reason a way. You know, you were talking about Conway's someone was talking about Conway's music just not being right there at the point, and they started talking about his personal. I don't ever hear men talking about women's. What's she going through, man? She might be going through some stuff. That Good News album by Meg might not be that good because she's going through a lot right now. No one's thinking about
Yo,
that.
that's some bullshit,
Yo,
fam.
man.
That's some real bullshit.
When you, when
Yo,
you deep, it's a bit
when you
mad,
spill
innit?
out like that, that's some bullshit.
Do you understand?
Wow.
Like, so these are the things as a woman when I'm listening and I'm in rap and I talk about rap music and I'm looking at it from where I'm thinking, well, I don't care what you guys have to say about nothing, honestly.
You must have been burning when someone said that then. No, they said that
I just think
Marley
about these
Caesar.
things, you know.
I think you said something though.
I did say
Yeah,
something.
you
I
said
did
something,
say
yeah.
I did say something. I understood that wasn't the place for but I just had to say something because it was
Yeah.
just. It
You're
was,
scared.
I was
Yeah,
the
you did
pattern
actually,
was
yeah.
happening. I was like, you know what? Nah, come on, man.
Yeah,
But that's again as a woman who enjoys and listens to hip hop music. These are things that I have to deal with in conversation. I have to prove that I know what I'm talking about. If I say I like football, you want me to name 5 players that played for Arsenal from the 70s and name every trophy they've got.
We did it to man them too though. Well, some of us.
I didn't see that.
Some of us.
But
It's a
you know,
small minority of guys
especially-
that do that,
Especially like when women are into things that, you know, and some things are like male dominated, like hip hop and stuff. You have to prove that we know what we're talking about.
We just don't take your word for it.
You're not going to take my word for it. You want to
to
quiz, not necessarily quiz me, but I have sit here and have, not like with you lot, but just like in general, tested. What do you know? Oh man, mentioned Bow Wow. What are you talking about? Like, you know, but I can talk about all the other stuff too.
So how do you negotiate? I mean, I'm sure you appreciate and like some of the music that does like degrade
Of
women.
course.
Like, how do you negotiate that as a hip hop fan?
What do you mean?
As in, like,
Negotiate.
obviously you're a woman.
Now, how do I deal with it?
Yeah, you're a woman. You enjoy
I mean,
hip hop. You like listening to that sort of music as well. Like,
I just have understanding. Like, I just understand that there's a time and a place for everything. And there's obviously back in the day, you know, a couple of years ago, I used to go to a club and like, or go to parties or house parties, and there's a time and a place for that stuff, and that's okay. Like, I'm not one dimensional. I'm a real person with like dimensions.
Nuance.
You know, so I'm not just gonna want to listen to the music that's always
not
like,
at a party.
Yeah, like you're not gonna want to listen to like the super like.
Sorry, but Sojourner's not going on at a rave. Sorry.
I'm looking at Pete.
Like
Pete's the one
socially
that likes
conscious
listening to that
music, like all the time or whatever. It's just about understanding. Like for me, anyway, it's just like you understand that it's a time and a place, and also just because I'm well read, and I think about concepts and things like that, I can just look at a rapper, look at the music, and just understand what that is, where it's maybe coming from, and yeah, you know. Otherwise, I wouldn't listen to hip hop at all.
I mean, the equivalent of that is just like, you know, us man listening to gangster rap. We don't shoot people. We don't sell drugs.
Yeah.
How do we negotiate that?
Yeah.
We've had that conversation on here, where you know I've openly said that. Sometimes I struggle with it because
Listening to
I think when I'm getting to
killing,
especially
like
that. And as I'm getting older, it's a lot harder to consume.
It's escapism.
Things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's the exact same thing. It's escapism.
Yeah,
that's how I do
Yeah.
it.
That's what it should always be.
I just take breaks. I can't do it too much because it just gets to me.
Of course,
You know
it's
what I
like
mean?
anything. Like, you know,
Yeah.
you may not like, you know, people have genres of films that they like watching. You know, some people don't like the super gore horror films,
Yeah.
all these types of things. And it's just you know, we're all people and we all have dimensions. So that's how we get through. It's never going to be the way that we want it to be all the time, and it shouldn't be. You know, we should learn how to like navigate, because it's not. This world is not perfect.
100%.
And
But
people who are creating the art are not perfect, you know. So yeah.
yeah, and I only ask that because I know a lot of people, men anyway, will ask that question as well.
Because they don't want me to listen to music.
There
Here's
you
the
go.
thing: you're there going. I know that because well, how can you listen to it if it's cool? It's degrading you. Well, why are you listening to it? It's degrading you too. It's not saying great things about you either, because you're the guy they don't want to be. They're always telling you they don't want to be you. Why do you want to be you? Try to be like me.
I didn't even think of
And
it
you're
like
cool. And you're cool with that.
Yeah, I've never deep it because
the
I know
amount of times that rappers
Ross
have called
talks
us
to me
broke,
like a dickhead,
we
you
should
know?
have been stopped listening to rap.
Yeah.
You know, just like they don't
Generally,
like
yeah.
always saying they just want to be like. Why do you want to be like you? It's not like some of the music is like bad. Like if people were really taken in, like it can knock on their self-esteem. But yeah, no, like I said, but there's people with dimensions, so we should learn how to navigate these things and just understand like where it's coming from and look at society as a whole. You know, so many things go into it.
Society just needs to unlearn a lot of shit, basically.
A lot.
Like quite a lot.
When you see just some of the wild stuff they were doing back in the day, like yeah.
I think this seamlessly goes into the next topic as to why we don't, I guess, hear of more women producers or engineers.
Yeah.
Is it a case of them not being given the opportunity? I don't know if it's a
I don't
talent.
know.
I don't know if it's a talent conversation, but is it an opportunity
I hear so
thing?
many stories about women not even feeling comfortable in those spaces.
Yeah, they're real horror stories.
Yeah, I
like,
mean,
you know.
Drew Dixon's a perfect example. And just for context, she was an A&R at Def Jam.
Yeah.
And she helped put together the Mary J. Blige and Method Man song.
Oh, okay.
You're All I Need. And she was working her way up, and she was working quite closely with Russell Simmons. And long story short, he assaulted her. You know what I mean? And then she moved labels and was working with L.A. Reid, and essentially she was again working her way up, and she was trying to like get Kanye signed and John Legend signed. This was very early on, and because she had declined L.A. Reid's offer to be intimate, he just like shut down the meetings. Like, I'm not coming to see them. And then she had to pass up on John Legend and Kanye early.
That's so crazy.
You know what I mean? So that's an example of,
but
I guess,
surprising.
Yeah, and she had like quite a good track record as far as putting songs together and producing. And then, you know, she was like, you know what, fuck this. I'm not in this industry no more. So maybe there's a lot of cases of that. But I generally want to explore why we don't see more, hear of more.
They're not spotlighted. And I don't know how many, if there's many. Obviously, I know of Wonder Girl.
There's Wonder Girl.
And she's still track girl as well, yeah. But
Crystal Kanes as well.
Toki Monster, really good.
Yeah. On the UK side, there's C Beats, who produced Why by Digga D, well, co-produced with M1 on the beat, and Miss Beats as well. She produced for DWE and Skepta, got Grime
but they're
Era as well.
definitely not spotlighted.
But they're definitely not spotlighted.
Definitely not spotlighted. I remember Wonder Girl got some coverage simply because she was so young.
Yeah, she
was
was
just
age,
young,
she was
so it
trending
was just
for a
like,
while.
whoa, like she's that young and she made this like incredible like beat and then gone on to like obviously do like amazing things. But yeah, I think maybe the environments, you know, I had to get comfortable like at studio spaces with just men that I don't know. Working like, you know, like doing like, even if you're going somewhere to do an interview and they're inviting you to come to a hotel and do the interview at the it's just there's just some of these spaces don't always, it's not comfortable for women sometimes. And maybe from a producer standpoint, again, this thing of having to prove that you're good enough to even get a placement, to have your beats heard. I think that Money in the Grave tune that was produced by a model.
With Drake and Rick Ross.
Yeah, I think her name's like Christina something, and CC on the beat. That's what he says, like on Money in the Grave. That's the.
Is that not Crystal Keynes?
No. It was a.
She works with ASAP Ferg, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she works with ASAP and Smoke Dizzle. But no, this one was, let me see, Money in the Grave. Just try and find it. And I remember they did like a whole piece on her, and she was like, she was a model. She was just kind of playing around with it, and then that was obviously a problem because she was, you know, a model.
Yeah.
How dare you? How dare you be a model and try and produce music? Again, no, like, not allowing people to have dimensions. Sydney Christine, and she produced Money in the Grave. But I think she hasn't. I don't know if she's done any other music since, but instantly drawing for the fact that she was like an influencer model and. Like, why did Drake must have wanted to sleep with her?
Rather than the actual talent, innit?
Yeah.
Just looking into the actual.
Instead of talent, but that beat is hard. You know?
Yeah, I got a shout out a girl called Soraya as well. She produced on Lowski's album as well.
Okay.
I work with Soraya closely. So, I mean, I suppose maybe slowly but surely it might be changing, but I agree. Like, if anyone who's watched that flipping BBC Three documentary about abusers, and it's clear to see, like,
and men just don't make it easy. They just don't make it easy. Just conversations around women in general, and their artistry, and women are never associated with the word genius. I only hear the word genius associated with men. No one really calls Beyonce a genius. They don't call Mariah Carey a genius. They don't call any of these people who are sitting down arranging music, songwriting, thinking of new sounds. Because even though someone like Beyonce is not a producer in the traditional sense, we understand that she's in that process and she's putting things together along with the people that are obviously helping her put it together too. But at this point, why is Beyonce not spoken about as a musical genius in the same vein as Kanye, who has had a lot of missteps more recently and has made culture shift in music? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's weird to me. Mariah Carey, like, I remember she said, like, you know, she doesn't have a Grammy, which is so crazy to me, but when she speaks about it, she's like, you know, at the time I was popping. I was like, the Grammys was more about the obscure artist, not hits and popularity, and I was extremely popular and had a lot of hits, so I was never nominated during that time when I was super hot.
Wait, she's never won a Grammy?
Mariah Carey is one of the
that's
greatest songwriters of like our time, sort of thing.
With Mariah though, I don't know if she was always getting credit.
She wasn't, to be fair. I think to me, it's always blows my mind that All I Want for Christmas is like not a cover. For the longest time, I thought it was a cover, and then I've like watched the interview.
I thought it was as well.
I thought it was a cover. I thought it was an old tune that she redid. She wrote that, like she made that song. That's a song that she created. I was like, that's so wild to me. But she was talking about like not having a Grammy and stuff like that, and saying she doesn't care about that stuff now. But at the time, the Grammys represented the obscure artist and all these types of things. So being popular it was frowned upon, just like how people hate when like an artist goes mainstream and stuff like that. And I just bring that back to say that, you know, there are probably loads of great women who are producing. They're just not being like held up. Maybe they're even getting taken advantage of. They're ghost producing, and you know, Timbaland used to have like, was it Danger? Like he used to have a producer that used to ghost produce for him a lot, even though he eventually came out and stuff like that. But you know, there might be women that are there. They're just getting taken advantage of. Maybe their beats are being taken and it's going under someone else's name.
They're not being
and that's just the way
acknowledged.
in for them. And yeah, maybe branding, marketing, I don't know, but
Maybe pay as well,
pay.
because across the the music industry, there's definitely a pay gap there.
Oh,
so maybe a lot of like, you know, they don't feel like, you know, I want to be in this industry because like,
and if you're being
I'm not coming in to get exploited and not be
You
paid.
see what the Neptunes did to Khalees?
There you go.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah,
That was disheartening, man.
very
For
mad.
real?
Yeah.
Chad?
What's the other guy's name?
Haley
it's
or
just-
something
it's
like
just,
that. Yeah.
Throw and I know who you're talking about. Shay, I think.
Yeah, Shay. Yeah.
That's
But-
NERD. It's not Neptune. It's
But
Buffalo.
but it is mad, and I don't know why there isn't more. But there's probably all of these things. And remember, producer roles is a behind the scenes thing. We only have like a handful of like
That are in the limelight.
prominent ones from the last 10 years. Was like Michael Made It, Hit Boy,
Metro Boomin.
Metro Boomin.
Mine's got blank.
Lex Luger for a bit that week.
Oh yeah,
DJ
that
Mustard
was like
for
the early
Mustard.
Mustard had a little run.
Mustard.
It does seem
Pierre
like the
Bourne.
tide is changing a bit, and more men are going to these talented female producers as well.
But whether or not they hold them up and say everyone else should go and work with them too.
Because even like Missy Elliott, man, she's produced a lot of stuff. So I was
written
even
a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of these
I
artists
was
have
actually
to-
racking my brain trying
She's
to
not even-
understand
she's
why
not-
certain
she's
people
not
haven't
even
gone to her.
considered like a
And
producer.
she's produced a role. We was meant to do a podcast episode on her, so
Yeah,
she's
She's
no,
not
we
even
still will.
I
considered.
feel like
like
that generally artists aren't really seen as producers as well, though.
yeah, but like
But
exactly.
yeah, exactly. But in that,
But just as
vein.
an independent producer, like someone like Wonder Girl producing Antidote, and she's not mentioned that year as a top producer alongside a Michael Made It or a Hit Boy or whoever, that doesn't make sense. It's the biggest song of the year.
Yeah.
And other songs that she's made, and whatever else. So
Maybe it's definitely a credit issue as well, where a lot of these they're not being credited for their work.
yeah, and maybe they need
Georgia
to
and
start
Muldrow,
to-
she produced for most stuff as well, and like she produces a lot of her own stuff. So I feel like a lot of rappers could go to her. So maybe that's where the gap could be bridged.
she produced
to.
on the recent,
but do men really want to work with women?
Boy.
Do they? Do rappers really want to work with women if there's no exchange? Can they?
The more that we're
I think
actually,
some- I think
the
some
more that we're
can.
actually
I think
wording
some
it,
can.
the more mad it sounds. Because
it's-
why not?
Because it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, how can you not work with a woman when someone gives you a fire beat? Take the beat, fam. Like, it's not.
And
so
even
many,
the idea of being produced by a woman for somebody's like men is probably wild.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
where
It's
that's where
ego,
ego
it's
in that
ego,
comes
yeah,
into it.
yeah,
Do you know what I
100%.
mean? Like, what? Be told what
Especially
to do
if
by
she's
you?
really
You produce
producing,
me?
like,
Like,
can you
sort
do
of
that
thing.
over again? Can you
Yeah,
re-record
exactly.
that?
But it's also like you said
What?
though with producers.
And then that goes
'cause-
down to like musical IQ. Oh, you're not good enough to know that, I
Right.
probably killed it on this one time or blah, 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 blah. Like,
Okay.
Yeah,
bullshit
like a
like that.
stupid idiot like Rich the Kid behind the scenes will try to tell someone to shut up, man. But my point is, it's like you said though.
Like Sid. Oh, I just thought of Sid, like, from the internet.
Yeah.
Odd Future and that. She produces, but obviously she's a singer, songwriter, etc. But again, like, I don't know, man. I just don't think.
I don't know, man. It could be more like you said with behind the scenes. There's only a few producers that get highlighted.
In
Yeah,
general,
and it
yeah.
seems like with producers, it's blown up more recently as well in terms of the amount of producers that are coming out. And if we're being honest, it's very much in a set area. Like a lot of producers coming from Atlanta. So it's a weird one. I don't know if it's straight misogyny with it or if it's the case of like there's not that many coming out anyway. Do you know what I mean? So
But
it's
the
already
suit-
even
the
even
what-
engine
the
even
in terms of just their
superstar
face.
one.
Yeah, the superstar
The
one.
superstar
So they might be
producer.
with same way there's producers that we don't know, but I'm just like superstar level because it's a very seems like a dog eat dog world with them now anyway. They're all trying to vie for that.
yeah,
now.
there are very
One,
few
two.
top producers.
Exactly,
And even
so it's
in
like-
that,
So make
even
it
if there
harder.
are, if they're going to be like 5 top producers at any one time,
I don't think for all
there's
if
you'll be lucky if one of them is a woman.
exactly, and if 4 out of 5 are coming up from Atlanta, that even narrows it down. There's so many because they're all looking for one sound now as well. So it's like you need to find someone that fits that. So it's like there's so many more into it. Do you know what I mean?
It's a shame. Like, I hope it does change, but
I think
it
it's
will.
changing, man.
I think it
Because
will.
even
Yeah.
like
I think it will.
even engineers. There's an engineer that works quite closely with Little Uzi Vert, and she
Engineers
did Bad
need
and
a lot
Beauty
more
with
credit there.
Migos and that. And it was a woman that engineered that whole track. So and those tracks. So I think the tide is slowly changing. We need more.
yeah, of course.
So
A
I
lot
think
more.
conversations
I
like
think
this.
I read a stat that said that women only account for like 20% of the industry, and a smaller amount of that is producers and songwriters and stuff like that. Like it's a small number. But I hear loads of women's stories about why they left the industry. Like they couldn't deal with some of the things that came with it. It's tough. It can be tough.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised. But yeah, I hope it changes and that we get like a big superstar like woman that's like producing mad bangers and stuff. That would be sick.
And even highlight the ones that currently do it, man.
Yeah.
Like across all genres of music, man. Like Erykah Badu, that's one of my favorite artists. She produces or co-produces a lot of her music.
Yeah.
Let's
But again,
champion a lot
artists
of
then
them.
don't get like like I said the thing about the genius thing. Women are not associated. Like, can you? When have you heard of a woman being referred to as a genius? Like, truthfully.
Never.
I don't think I have.
Yeah. when you leave it
Exactly. I think that's wild.
I don't think I have, man. If I'm honest,
I think that's wild. So yeah.
Who would you consider a genius?
Beyonce,
there's a lot.
Mariah Carey, Lauryn Hill, Missy. I consider
not even Lauryn Hill.
In the same way.
I think I've heard Lauryn Hill.
I don't.
I think I've heard Lauryn Hill. Actually,
If you listen, there's a podcast called Dissect, and they did a season on just the way the miseducation was put together. She's a genius.
I think they did one for Lemonade as well.
Yeah. Dissect podcast is really good, but we're quick to give that label to people. Were calling 6ix9ine a genius,
Huh?
because of his trolling and marketing. They were saying he's figured it out. He knows how to get attention.
Yeah, but we're not.
But you're happy to give these labels very freely to men who are not doing.
People call Lil B a genius too,
or even worthy of it. But someone like like I said, a Mariah Carey, a Whitney Houston, they're talked about in big, like they're revered, of course, but they're not spoken about like how Prince is spoken about. Prince is a genre. This is genius for you. I'm thinking, I grew up in a Michael Jackson household, so I appreciate Prince there as I got older. But just in general, these titles are given to men a lot more easily, freely, for absolutely less. And there are incredible women within like music. Kim should be labelled one, whether she had writers or not. That whole aesthetic is the aesthetic. Like
she's the prototype.
Facts.
So she should be given. She should be spoken about way more highly than she is.
Mad.
Hey, man.
Very.
So what's the moral of the story, guys?
Let's just try and do better.
As
As men particularly, I think as like us men that really like into the culture and that, let's just try and do
Let's
better.
be
innit?
better,
Do you
man.
know what I mean? Call it out whenever we can, because we don't see a lot of rappers in the game calling out misogyny as well. Do you know what I mean? They're it's so integrated into the fabric of hip hop that we just all treat it like it's just a norm. That's normal. Wow, we've seen that. It's been happening for years, but the more these conversations start to happen, the more we call it out more, the more it can just improve things, isn't it? Just little by little.
Yeah,
You need a conversation. It needs a conversation
starter. Don't be afraid to be attacked by your fellow men because you stood up for like a woman, which happens, Damson Indris put out a thing. You put out a tweet, right? Like, and I saw men being like, so predictable.
What did he say?
It was that I'll take the first. If it means I take the shot.
Yeah.
Protecting women, I'll take it.
Yeah. But
literally all he said.
A lot of men, I saw some guys on my timeline kind of just being like, oh, so predictable. Like,
Yeah, I saw some people calling him
And
simp.
that's what happens.
I saw some people
men
I saw people calling him simp.
Yeah,
I saw
men
all
get
of
called
that.
simps,
Yeah.
corny.
that whole simp thing is, it makes men like revert back into themselves and then not stand for nothing. Let me just go with what everyone else is saying.
And they're being complicit.
They're more sheep than they like to admit. Like,
For sure.
Hey man, everyone's got to unlearn what they learned, man.
Got to do the work.
Or attempt to at
You
least.
got to do the
You
work.
gotta want.
Yeah,
Well,
you
first,
gotta attempt to. That's what I'm saying.
gotta
Attempt
do
to.
the
you
work.
gotta
Yeah,
want to do the
attempt to,
work.
yeah,
You
attempt
can,
to,
you
yeah.
got, and that's the thing. Like, and this goes beyond like misogyny. This goes beyond like anything. Someone having to look themselves in the mirror and realize that the way they've thought for so long is wrong is fucking hard for them to do.
Yeah, no.
Anyway, so if they get to that point and they actually do that, then that's half the battle done, and we can get towards something more positive. But people actually got to be more prepared to actually do that. So yeah, man. Shout out to all the women who've made hip hop what it is, man.
Yeah, you guys
obviously
are
your
incredible.
contributions are very indelible.
For real.
We will never forget them, despite what the world tells you. Like, shout out to everybody, man. I mean, we could
We'll reel off the list of names, innit?
We could reel off a list of names as
We'll
well.
be here
But
for time.
all right, let's lift up the mood a little
Oh
bit.
man.
After talking for an hour and a half about misogyny,
You guys play music.
boy.
Oh man.
Yeah, let's have a bit of fun and let's basically go one at a time and basically talk about what we feel was essentially, because obviously rap music and the movies have a very like intimate relationship with each other. There's been a lot of soundtracks, a lot of good, a lot of bad.
Not so much these days. Like that Judas and the Black Messiah one I was like, why are there not more soundtracks anymore? Like, I remember they were a lot more popular.
The thing with that, I
Before.
have a problem with that soundtrack there.
Okay. What is it?
I mean, a lot of it was unnecessary. Like, obviously,
Have you seen the film?
I haven't seen the film
Okay,
now,
cool. Go on.
but a lot of it wasn't really adding up.
It wasn't.
It didn't like you didn't feel like it
Yeah,
aligned
yeah,
with. It was
it
just,
didn't
I thought it
align.
was good music. I get what you mean.
It was good music,
The
for sure.
narratives of the songs maybe didn't align with what the film is.
Well, in the spirit of Judas and the Black Messiah, the soundtrack that just came out, guys, between ourselves, we'll go one at a time. What are our thoughts on the best rap song that was ever made for a movie? And Mohammed, we'll start with you.
Okay, cool. So I can reel off a few, but I'll come back to them.
So we asked you for one, and you want to reel off a few.
I thought to take a play out your playbook today, so
Reel off one, and then afterwards.
yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, I'm gonna reel off one just in case before I start taking people's pick. The first one I got is from the Belly soundtrack. It's DMX, Meth, Nas, and Jar. It's called the grand finale. I think when you get them for on a song, it's hard not to pick anyone else.
That's a great lineup.
Do you know what I mean? It's just like when you reel off the features, it's like, bro, who else can you really go for?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys watch Belly.
Yeah, I've seen it
I
a few
have
times.
once,
Yeah.
like just when I was.
I ain't seen
younger.
Belly in years.
I watched it.
Yeah, I watched it when I was
For the
younger,
first time
but I
last
don't remember it too much. But yeah,
I watched it for the first time last year.
Oh, for real?
I wonder if Sincere made it to Africa.
This guy, man.
So yeah,
I still
have you
wonder. I
guys
still
seen
wonder things
Coming
like
to
that.
America?
Trust it to be
no, I
Nas.
still ain't watched that.
Trust it to be Nas as well.
Who else would
Yeah.
it be? But yeah,
I'm not gonna start.
that's my one. Yeah, that's me.
Pete, what about you?
My pick is Warren G and Nate Dogg Regulate. For Above the Rim, the movie with Tupac. It wasn't a great movie, but I just love that song, man.
You don't,
Oh, I like
Don't
Above
do
the
that.
Rim.
That song is probably
I like-
iconic. That song's
It
probably
is.
iconic, man.
don't do that to Above the Rim, though.
I like
It's an
Above the
alright
Rim.
movie, man. Keep that.
Out of Tupac films, which one do you like the most?
Probably Poetic Justice.
Oh, God, no.
You look so unimpressed.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Nah.
You know that, Feet.
But it's just because it's romantic, innit?
Yeah, it's a romantic
That's that.
comedy.
Yeah,
I
that's
love it.
my up my alley. innit?
Especially
So,
when you know, like when you learn that Janet asked him to take an AIDS test and all this thing. I'm like, it's a bit nasty.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Just the idea towards rappers and stuff. So
yeah.
Nah, give me two songs Above the Rim. I'm good. Two
Feel
more
me.
film wise.
Wasn't Marlon Wayans in that film too?
What Above the Rim?
Yeah. What a
Yeah.
random pairing.
Yeah. So was
Tupac
Avon
and Marlon.
Barksdale.
Done now.
was it?
yeah,
Wood
he's
Harris.
been around for
Wood
time.
Harris.
Yeah.
I'll go next. Well, it was kind of joint between me, but I'll just say one. I got Dr. Dre with Deep Cover from the film Deep Cover. I think that was like one of our first major introductions to Snoop as well, and I think that was Dre's first like solo single after leaving NWA. So it's very meaningful. I never watched the film Deep Cover, but the song itself is dope. The beat as well, and it was repurposed by Fat Joe and Big Pun as well for Twins. Deep Cover '98. So
Which is better, Deep Cover or Twins?
Twins. Just for Dead in the Middle of Little Italy.
Literally.
Little did we know.
I'm not gonna finish it.
Oh, I think we're gonna finish
No,
it, right?
We're not finished. We're not doing that today, Peter. But yeah, Deep Cover, dope tune, and yeah, very dope. I love the beat as well. The beat is
Yeah.
crazy.
Still fire too.
For sure, Ebony.
I'm gonna go Eminem, Lose Yourself from 8 Mile. It's like it's an Oscar winning song.
Academy Award winning.
Academy Award winning song, and I feel like it was just massive.
That's white privilege, but I feel you.
I mean, it is. if I were to go with a black artist, I quite like Dr. Dre and Nocturnal Bad Intentions, and I don't remember what film that was for, but I just remember those movie clips. Let me see if I can actually find it.
I remember that tune.
I thought that
Yeah.
tune was I just love that song. Like it's a song that's actually degrading women, but it's a song that's degrading women. But
Never say we don't connect these topics on the rhymes like that podcast.
but it's just a really good song.
No, Lose Yourself is a great song. I mean,
What, Mom
regardless
Spaghetti?
whether it's white or black,
Lose
like-
Yourself, yeah, that's a song that even people that don't like rap or hip hop and stuff, they just know it.
Yeah.
They can reference it. They know some bars from it. It's just
Yeah, it's got yeah.
it's a big tune, and
Is it one of the biggest rap songs ever? Generally,
I don't know if it's one of the biggest rap songs ever, but maybe
Probably
it
is.
Probably
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
probably
maybe
is.
Probably.
Yeah, if you
I'll
go-
probably say so
It was
too.
massive.
I mean, once you win your Academy Award, you've gone clear.
Yeah, for real.
Right,
That's
if
Eminem.
you say to a white boy, Mom Spaghetti, that's like the Bible verse.
Yeah, it's true.
That's like a passage to them.
You gotta remember, Eminem.
That's like Psalms 15,
Eminem
bro.
is literally like one of the only rappers that does stadiums consistently.
Yeah, like,
the rest of them
cuz.
can't do it. Like so.
Like,
yeah.
I might go back to J Electronica. White people might go back to Mom Spaghetti. Don't argue with me. I'm just giving you the facts.
That's very different.
Yeah.
Cuz I'm just giving you the facts.
And people, like, it's a song that just hypes people up,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, proper
they
get,
just,
yeah.
they just love it. Like
The
the
beat
whole
drop in the background.
everything, the climax of the tune, just it's a very it's just that tune.
He's
And 8 Mile was cool for like what it was, like that time when rappers were doing like movies about themselves.
Fuck the free world. I never understood what that meant.
Fuck the free world.
Fuck the free world, didn't it?
I mean, yeah, but
Ain't it America? In America, known as the free world.
Yeah,
But it just seems as
that's
if-
why they like.
And then 313 is the postcode.
It just seemed as if it was very random to just say on that film.
Like
That's
the
why I
the
said
main.
it.
Oh, the whole
theme,
battle rap looked fake.
capitalism,
The whole,
world and stuff
yeah.
like that. You know.
Shout out Papa Duck though.
Said no one ever.
Listen,
I've
man,
never heard
his
of
real name's Clarence, isn't it?
But
Hey, Clarence
He's
Helms is a
Captain
real
America,
good
he's
man.
Captain America now.
Shit, he is, isn't he?
Yeah.
He is. He's
mad.
come far. He's come far. He's
How you go
got.
from Papa Duck to Captain America.
Absolutely crazy.
boy,
Mad
glow up
tip.
is real.
Salute
for
to him,
real.
fam.
Any honourable mentions, guys?
Yes, Will Smith, The Wild Wild West.
Really?
Yeah, it's a great song.
Isn't Melly Mel on that?
I think it's Drew Hill.
So wiki wah,
Sister.
wiki wah.
That's a great song for a film.
Wiki
When
wah
Will-
wah
when Will
west.
Smith
Many
could
Mills
drop
on
a made a tune just for the film that he was starring in. That's amazing.
Jim West.
He did that a couple
I
times.
know it's not
He
like
did that like
it's
three
not
times.
rappity rap or that shit, but that was like, yeah, that was like a big tune to me. But that
Oh, we
was
got
great,
we got to shout out Men in Black then too.
Many
like,
Black.
oh my god,
Yeah,
the Men in Black.
Yeah,
What?
yeah.
Will Smith-
I'm giving that to Men in
Will
Black before.
Smith making just a banger for his film, and it actually just being a banger every single time.
Is Will Smith the king of like movie singles?
No, you only said two.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there's Men in Black, there's the Men in Black 2 one, and there's Wild Wild West as well.
I'm not giving him Wild Wild West for a banger personally.
Fair enough.
Oh, this is
Yeah.
great. With Drew Hill.
I've listened to it.
And-
It
and
stuck in my head
and
'cause I was a
Cisco
kid.
was like, Cisco's like, yeah, that was a good time.
Black Suit Coming, that was the Men in Black.
Oh, blessings coming.
Mhm.
I've got. Can I get a thing? Can I get a what?
Oh yeah, Jay-Z.
I've also got. Remember when Nelly had that bar?
No, I
Shake
don't.
your tail feather.
Oh yeah, that's for the Bad Boys.
Yeah, that was the
Was
Shake
that
It
for a
Off.
film?
Yeah,
Yeah, that was for
come
Bad
in,
Boys.
yeah, what was
Oh
it?
shit. Oh,
Yeah.
Turn around, is your mama half reindeer?
My Boys 2?
Bad Boys too. You know, it's fam.
Again, Will Smith. Look at that.
He's the king. I'm just saying, he's the
Wilson's
king.
Wilson's a
Wilson-
champion.
He's the king. He's the
Wilson's a
king.
champion, fam.
He's the king, bro. I've
That-
got Dr. Dre, Keep Their Heads Ringing. That was on the first Friday film. It was only for very, very briefly. And then I discovered, actually properly listened to it like for the first time like 5 years ago. And bro, that immediately like transports you to like 95, South Central LA, Cadillac
That's
and
how I feel
shit.
about Deep Cover.
Feel like a big worm, fam.
Yeah.
Big word. I got a sleeper. Did you know? Remember Nelly's song number 1?
Yeah.
That was for Training Day.
I
Was
don't
it?
know.
Yeah.
Oh.
What does it take to be number 1? Suppose it's for Training Day.
Bro,
I don't
Oh,
know.
wow.
Hey man,
interesting.
let me just make sure before.
Wait, was
I hit
there
just
like
spilling
clips?
garbage?
Was it-
I've read it before. Let me just make sure. What?
Yeah, that might have been.
I might hit
You
just.
might want to double check that.
Yeah, no, I'm 90% sure that it was out. I might be spewing.
I'm just trying to
garbage.
remember now if there was clips of Training Day in that video.
Nah,
Yeah, that's when they
yeah.
put clips of the
Yeah,
movie
yeah,
in the
yeah.
video.
Yeah, look, number 1 Training Day.
Drew Hill were very flagrant with that as well. 'Cause when they did How Deep Is Your Love
Yeah,
for Rush
yeah,
Hour,
yeah. Woo!
How deep is your love?
two-thirds of it was like the Rush Hour film. They might as well just show like 3 minutes of Rush Hour.
Tell me
film.
what it's going.
Yeah,
that was
man,
nasty.
that was flagrant.
I said
God.
Melly Mel was on Wild Wild West. No, it's Cool Mo D.
Oh, okay.
Oh
I know-
yes, because he did that song. It was a sample.
It was one of them, man.
It was
I knew it was
a
one of
sample.
them, man.
That
it
was
was a
just-
sample.
That was just hard.
Didn't Kool Moe Dee diss LL Cool J in that song?
I don't
Cool
remember
J
that.
gets
Why
this
do you
a lot.
know that?
I'm a historian, damn it.
Oh, LL Cool J had a song. Oh fuck, it's gonna annoy me.
What?
LL Cool J had a song. It was one of it was later on in his years. I think it was Paradise was a song for a film.
Oh
Nah.
yeah,
Was
with
it?
A. Marie.
Yeah, Paradise. I think
I
was a
don't
film
think
film.
was
so.
that
There was no
for?
clips
I think.
in
Let
that
me just double
video.
check.
My honorable
Oh.
mentions: Kendrick and J Rock, King's Dead.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Oh
The
yeah, yeah.
Future. Yeah, I love that song.
Of course.
Yeah,
I will always love that song because it got J Rock a Grammy.
yeah, man. Big up J Rock.
Of all people to have a Grammy,
Yeah.
man like J Rock.
Trust me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's lit.
Yeah, Paradise was for. You remember Deliver Us from Eve
Oh wow.
with Megan
okay.
Good and
Shit,
Gabrielle
man.
Union.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, some of the songs, like, you know, like songs that came out, then they just put it on the soundtrack. Like 50 had like all his album was basically the soundtrack. to
Yeah,
Richard,
like
like,
Hustler's,
right.
Hustler's
Like,
Ambition
yeah,
was meant to be.
Yeah, like Whip Your Head Boy and all of these.
And Wankster
And
was
it's
in
like it
the
was
8
just
Mile.
the album,
Yeah.
but it was also the soundtrack. So it's just
Wankster was in the 8 Mile soundtrack as well.
like, Wankster was amazing. I remember the first time I saw the Wankster video. Changed my
I
life.
was confused the first time I heard Wankster
Why?
because I went from England, didn't it? Wanker.
Oh.
Oh, I never even thought about that.
No, I remember.
I was thinking more.
I'm still low key confused.
Yeah, no, because remember it used to be a thing.
Yeah.
So then Wanks, I don't know, not that I made that association, but like I just kind of
No,
was like,
Wankster's meant to be
made sense to me. Like,
Bro, I was like, what is going on?
What's going on, world? If you've reached this part of the episode, we thank you for tuning in and we hope you enjoyed it. For some reason, the recording ended at a certain point before we were able to sign off. So here I am signing off right now. So thank you once again to Eboni from the TBH Podcast for coming down. You can follow her on Twitter and Instagram at EbsWorldPeace. That's EBZ, then World Peace. And make sure you check out TBH on all platforms. They're doing some really dope things. And from us, we'll see you next time. So until then, take care, stay safe, and peace.